really loudly last week, so I figured I'd whisper this week to compensate. That's how
We
it
should do
goes.
the whole episode as ASMR.
Yeah, I mean, I think who was it? Was it Monty that did that, like Houston Outlaws, just like ASMR talking shit about their team or something like that, like a few years ago? I don't know if you guys remember that. Yeah, we could use with some more ASMR content these days. How's it going, everybody? Nice hat, Avast. I like it. The Seinfeld hat.
Thank you. People on my flight complimented me, and then they said, then they would talk to me about chemtrails for about 3 hours. So it was a good time.
I shared, by the way.
Thank you. This actually, okay. This brand does not exist anymore, technically. Envy is dead. I am one of the last holders of this merch, and this is actually legitimately good merch. It feels really nice. It looks good. Like, it doesn't look
like
too gamery. But the brand doesn't exist anymore. They made their one last round of merch. I got the last of it, and then they died.
Does Albert have any reservations about you supporting the other brand that you come from?
Well, Albert's not in the office today, so he doesn't. He can't have any thoughts. And also, you know, he doesn't really care. So no, he has no reservations. He's got no reservations about me wearing.
Team he doesn't like. What's a team he doesn't like? You wear that jersey.
A team he doesn't like.
Yeah.
I would probably have to be in the NBA because I don't think he feels strongly enough about any of the other esport brands.
Okay.
Ooh, that's spicy. Yeah, I'd like to know what NBA team.
It'd have to be in the NBA, but I'm not sure which one. But I will say the hat did, this hat, not the shirt, but the hat did prompt chemtrail discussions. So I had a lady sit on my phone and be like, "These are the real clouds. These are the fake clouds." Like, while I was on the plane, and I was like, "Oh, wow."
Did you not put your headset on, or like, you know what I mean, your headphones or whatever?
I did, but they just kept on. They kept on talking about, and then her husband was next to me, being like, bringing up like studies about, like, you know, the government was like looking at the atmosphere, and they were like, now this is how they're controlling the weather. Florida didn't used to get as much rain. I'm like, I feel like Florida did used to get a lot of rain. I feel like they did. So, but you know, whatever. You know, at the end of the day, I had to help them take their bag out. It was filled with mangoes. They were like, come visit our mango farm. And I said, probably won't. Probably won't. I don't know if I trust going to the mango farm with you guys, but you know, I appreciate the offer.
There's no chemicals in those mangoes.
There would be no chemicals in the mangoes. That is true. No chemicals there. That is, it'd be all organic.
I love how they just had a bunch of mangoes. Like, there'd be the kind of people who just, like, when you get the form, just like, are you carrying any farm animals with you? Or do you have any farm fruits to spread disease? Just like, I got my mangoes. I'm going to smuggle my mangoes into Hawaii, destroy the ecosystem in Hawaii, something like that. AVRL, interesting choice of background this week, gotta say.
I thought this is what we're talking about. Is this not Plat Chat League of Legends? Is that not what the show is?
No.
I actually expand.
Oh.
Yeah,
I do think they touched on it on the Valorant show.
You know what? We should do Plat Chat League of Legends, but only talk about NA and no other region.
That's so smart. That's so smart. That's so smart. I like that. I like that idea a lot, actually. I think that'll be really interesting.
Because that's where all the drama is. So why would you talk about any other regions? All the drama's in NA. So let's stick to where the drama is.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to do on this podcast, just talk about the West region. But, you know, we had to inevitably invite you on. So
is that where all the drama is, Johnny, in the West region?
You are just our Eastern region correspondent, and you tell us how Dallas Fuel are doing, and that's all we care about.
I'll give you the weather report.
There is big drama going to come out of the East, but, you know, that's just a teaser. That's just a teaser for you East heads out there. That's a teaser for you East heads out there.
I don't even know what he's talking about.
Speak the fuck up, Chief. What the fuck do you mean by that?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you the drama. I'm just letting you guys know that we're plugged into the drama, and when it's there, I've already gotten I've gotten the crash course. We'll be ready to cover it when the drama happens.
I know what this is. That's why he's wearing the Envy shirt, because he's still connected to Envy, Dallas, whatever. He's still connected to that organization. So he's got the leaks on the drama. That's what it is. Clearly,
I'm plugged into everywhere.
Why do we let you on the podcast when you just don't you just say shit and then not elaborate? That's crazy.
Wait, I mean, it's crazy I can't drop all of my sources right now. I can't drop all of the juice. I'm just letting the people know I'm priming them. Timeline. I'm priming them.
When is the drama happening? Can we have a timeline?
Let me see here.
When it inevitably does happen, you know you want to return to the show to get Avast.
Bro has a date for a tweet that has been scheduled. Like,
one second.
Just drop the news.
I don't think that's how it works, Jaws.
I don't have a timeline, but I will say that it does include some significant roster moves. Now, once again, I can't tell it all. I can't say it all. I'm just saying, for the people that love drama will be happening. Okay, drama will be happening. Okay, drama will.
Wow.
And if it doesn't happen, it's not my fault because these are just the sources telling me the drama. So
there are many ways to go about this. Are you speculating on Dallas Fuel, perhaps? Chengdu Hunters, what's going on with them? There are many different ways this drama
does not include Chengdu. Does not include Chengdu. That team is dead. That team's dead as disco. So that is not. Let's just say that it could be happening with everyone that's not Chengdu.
Wow, that really narrows it down.
It's a lot of teams.
And it's an Overwatch League team, not a Contenders team.
Whoa.
That narrows it down more.
That narrows it down more.
That narrows it down to 6. Okay.
That narrows it down more.
All right.
So, and then after that, let's say it could even potentially evolve a trade from a North American team.
Oh, I got I know what it's. Yeah, I got. It's Ares for creative again.
Oh my god.
No, it's not that.
No?
But you know what?
Okay.
You're,
So close.
I think that you're in the right direction. You're in the right direction, but it's not that. But that's it. That's the drama. We're gonna save that for Drama Wednesdays now. Drama Wednesdays, which is our new Plat Chat record dates. And by that time, I'm sure the APAC drama will be announced. Surely.
I know what it is. It's Edison for lip.
Yeah,
Jesus.
that's it.
Because
exactly.
Castro
Great even trade.
Castro opened up the checkbook. He's not. People are saying we're cheap. We're not paying. We're just gonna get
Fuck
lip.
it, we'll buy
Just
lip.
Edison for lip right there.
And Atlanta are like, oh, we peaked right here. We gave up our dreams here. Let's bring in Edison. Let's make it happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll leave it right there and blue ball everybody, and you can come back next week and we'll chat about the drama properly. AVRL, I'm sorry, but we're not talking about the LCSPA. But if you are interested in that, check out the Valorant pod, because I do think they addressed it there, because they're actually a Riot Games podcast. We are not a Riot Games podcast.
Riot Games podcast.
Yeah, I mean
they sound like they're sponsored. The way you said that is like they're the official Riot Games podcast.
I mean, aren't we all
honestly,
kind of sponsored?
they might as well be at this point. I'm gonna be honest.
We're announcing that we're swapping sides. Actually, from now on, we're on the Riot train. Thank you guys. Now let's start off with coming up with Masters Tokyo. It's coming up soon.
Let's do this.
There we go.
Plat Chat Valorant 2.
How about that EG storyline, huh? Fuck the Potter haters. Yeah.
Great storyline. Fantastic stuff. Big stuff coming out for Potter and the crew there. Also, Demon 1, ranked Demon, unfortunately can't go to Tokyo because sometimes your org just doesn't file for a visa. That's so unfortunate. That's just so unfortunate.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, he's the guy that hard carried them through playoffs to qualify for the event. EG just didn't put their visa in time, so he just can't go to the event. Oh, it's so funny. It's just the funniest shit ever. Dude, in a Valorant drama, it does say undefeated. It says undefeated in the esports
and
world.
Where all the drama
memes. Yeah, lots of memes.
Yeah.
All right.
True.
Next week, we're doing our Aspas jet ranking, so tune in for that.
Yeah,
be a good episode. Be a good episode. Rank all the jets. No, actually, we got a separate tier list later this episode. But let's discuss some news, some Overwatch news going on. Just a quick couple of nice things that will go on in June. So first of all, Blizzard announced yesterday that they'll be doing a big Pride event in Overwatch 2. Which is awesome in general. They're giving out some free name cards. They're going to give out some free player icons. And also, they'll be redesigning Midtown to look like after a Pride festival. So, a bunch of different colors. The bus says Happy Pride in the picture down below. So, just an awesome, cool event to celebrate Pride, really. And a bunch of effort and resources going into this event. So, I think it's pretty straightforward. Just an awesome, cool event to do in June.
It is a great event. I mean, unfortunate that they chose to do this just to distract from the bad news about PvE. I mean,
oh my God!
That's exactly why they did it. They don't care. They obviously don't care.
Imagine making this instead of PvE. I mean, that was the choice. It was either this or PvE, and Blizzard chose this.
This mini event with.
They said if we have to choose, you can get an LGBT flag in the game, or you can get story missions. Make your pick, and they chose that. So it was. We
still are getting story missions, so we get both. Let's go.
The other one. What is it? Hero missions or whatever. Hero missions. Yeah. That's the one. So that's really as everyone knows, and the timing is very inconvenient because they perfectly timed it just to make sure that, like, guys, let's drop this right before, for sure.
I went to the BattleNet comments, just like as Reddit is one thing, but I went to the BattleNet comments. That's
terrible.
That's terrible. Actually,
yeah.
Did you wear a hazmat suit?
Was Tyrone in there talking about feet?
That's my favorite.
It's
Blizzard
rough.
forum person ever.
One of the most upvoted comments is "time to milk the rainbow," which is, you know, just an incredible comment given that they're giving out all this shit for free. Which is just like, it's all free, guys. Like, they're handing the shit out just like to celebrate Pride, which, you know. And also, if you're one of those fucking brain dead idiots who are just like, oh, they're just doing this to distract PV. Yeah, quick 2-week turnaround, guys. Just get Pride in there, celebrate. No, you fucking moron. They probably planned this for like over a year to just like design all these player icons and these things, and like they redesigned a map, for Christ's sake. Like, look at this thing. They didn't do this overnight to just distract from PvE. And also, it's not like they could have like delayed or pushed up the Pride event. Like, it's literally celebrated in June and they're dropping it in June. So like, what the fuck is the release schedule here? I don't know. I'm making me maul. Sorry.
That forum I think that forum is the entire center. It's the black hole of mold. You ever want to mold? That's the place to go.
It is the place to mold. I like molding, though, to be fair. Molding can be fun from time to time if there's some informed molding.
I think a better way to describe it is a black hole of IQ. Like, your IQ, it just suffers as you enter the black hole and just drops by the second. It's crazy. Like, we should, you know what? People love tier lists, right? Let's do a tier list on the worst places to discuss Overwatch and gaming. And we'll have the Battle.net forums or any gaming forums near like the bottom. It's got to be in like D, F.
Well, you're ranking them by the worst, as in like the worst goes to the top.
If it's by the worst, worst first. S tier would be any type of gaming forum, Battle.net forum, League of Legends forum, if that still exists. Like,
I mean, how many places are there? There's like 4 places.
I mean, there's
right?
social media. There's Reddit. There's Twitter. There's TikTok,
Twitter,
Instagram,
Facebook comments. Yeah, exactly.
There's a couple. There's a lot of different options.
Non-competitive subreddits.
You divide it by specific subreddits, like
So like with Overwatch, there's like
they hate Overwatch,
and then there's comp Overwatch. You know, like there's that, and there's League of Legends. League of Legends also have like the comp Overwatch and shit like that. So you could divide that for sure.
You know what?
Good event though.
You know, clearly Blizzard didn't generate enough drama because none of the stuff even made it to Overwatch TMZ. I checked. You know, that's the place to talk about Overwatch drama. It just didn't even.
The TMZ
subreddit wasn't a big enough headline.
Dumbest subreddit of all time. But I do think
there's a bit of quality there sometimes. It's rare, but a little bit.
This is actually a really cool event. I do think I'm glad that they.
Hell yeah.
I'm glad they took the time to, because I think right now for a lot of their community, you know, they're still, because at the end of the day, I think gamers have come a long way. They've come a long way, but at the end of the day, gamers are still all some of the dumbest people on planet Earth. And like, you see the takes underneath, like, hey, we're having an in-game Pride event, and it's like smoke screen, distraction, or like gay people in my Overwatch. I'm like, bitch, all the men are kissing men, all the women are kissing women. Like, it's all gay all the way down. There's so much like, it just like, where are you even, like, have you been paying attention to where you're at, man? Like, you wandered into the gay club and you're like, why is it so gay in here? Like, it's just like, it's like really like, this is a very LGBT friendly game, you know?
That shit is the funniest to me, because it's like, yo, you've been playing this game since 2016. My favorite character is Tracer. Wait, she's gay? It's like, no shit, motherfucker. No shit. That was like one of the big things when the game fucking first came out. I'm sorry to suddenly break the fucking news to you. And motherfuckers had wool over their eyes for the past, like, almost 10 fucking years. Like, bro, come on. Like, what are you fucking saying? Like, people just type and then attach meaning to shit later most of the time. But like, people just don't think. Like, but this is like a new level of like not thinking at all. Yeah. And like, does that affect your gameplay? Does that mean you have an extra blink or one less blink as Tracer? It makes no sense. Like, it's just so irrelevant,
like the discourse that occurs, because like it is a good thing. Yeah. We should be having, the game should be celebrating the community that participates heavily in it. And, you know, for certain people, they're feeling more welcome and inclusive. And there's like, and people talk a lot about like, that rainbow capitalism, where it's just like, especially right now in the discourse where companies kind of don't put their money where their mouth is, right? Like, they just like talk about it and they never actually, try to incorporate certain like pride events or, LGBT representation directly into their products in any way. Or like they get some backlash, or they say like, okay, actually, never mind. Like, oops. Fuck the gays, actually. People are mad. Like, so I think now it's cool to see a company actually kind of like, yeah, we want to show, we show some appreciation and some, you know, endearment to the gay community and the people that participate in our game that are part of the LGBT community. So like, and actually put it in game. It's cool. It's cool that they're, even though this is a separate event, it's nice to see that they're going to potentially open to incorporating more event stuff directly into maps as well in the future. Like we've seen that in the past with some of the winter maps and such, but like this opens up to where we can still expand outward and be a little bit more dynamic with the maps moving forward as well. Like if they can just do it for these one-time events, like it would be really interesting to see like what they could do with the maps in the future as well. And so I'm hoping that this continuing that trend of like we're having more integration of different things and different events into the maps as we move forward. So I think it's overall, you know, great thing. It's awesome. It's nice to see.
It's also not a temporary thing, because I think that's a lot of people's problem with the whole like corporatization of these kind of events. Like these the player cards and the icons are going to be in the game forever. So it's not like, hey, it's only this month. It's like, no, this shit's going to be around forever. So like, and they're probably going to celebrate it every year. So it's not a one and done thing. It's going to be a continual thing by the sounds of it. Yeah, look at all the like the name cards and shit like that. So pretty sick.
Oh yeah,
pretty wicked.
All right, let's move on. Final point, by the way, if you didn't see it, the Farah voice actor posted a TikTok that was really funny, and it was just Farah animations with a bunch of rainbow colors and YMCA music, and it was really good. So go check that out. Let's move on to our next news item. Another quick little announcement that was made yesterday by Path to Pro and the Overwatch League kind of esports ecosystem. There will be an open tournament taking place throughout July and the start of August called Operation Dive Party. This is an open tournament. You won't be allowed to be an Overwatch League player. And if you have been an Overwatch League player or substitute for the past 12 months, I believe the wording is, and you can't be an active player or substitute for an Overwatch Contenders team. So if you are like, I mean, you can be whatever rank you want, really. But as long as you're not a pro player, this is a fun little tournament for you. You can sign up with a team. You can compete. And basically just play 8 rounds of Swiss play, which is you get matched up against teams with a similar record of yours. And just battle it out, really. A chance for you to play some tournaments. And yeah. A new change of pace, really. So
and Sean Miller himself didn't even say that like they're hoping to add more of these events heading into, you know, later in the season and next year potentially. So next year, crossing fingers next year, guys. But I think at the end of the day that like that's I think it's exciting because it shows that from a Overwatch League competitive ecosystem perspective, part of the year was done because, like, with the integration of the contenders teams in the East region, because they had to. It was necessity more so than design. But it's clear that they're trying to find more and more avenues in this franchise system to have open elements of competition, and have that elements where people that are outside certain things can compete. You know, they haven't gone through like necessarily like they're not a franchise team. They're not locked into the current contenders circuit by any means. Like, and I feel like that's going to be kind of, for me at least, that's a lot of the element where I kind of just want a revamp of the ecosystem to where, like, yes, it's pretty open with how we do the open division to contenders to, you know, stuff like that. Like, that's relatively open, but I like it even more streamlined where we have like more events and an event circuit for that not outside of Overwatch League moments and, you know, that sort of that area of competition. And it's a little bit less complex than it is now, I think. Though it's not really that super complex currently. But I think a good overhaul and like more of these like keynote events for non-Overwatch League things is cool. And it's also something that they're hoping to highlight and do for next year. So it's like, it's pretty rinky-dinky prize pool, but like a small event, you know, it's nothing crazy. It's like 5K. It's like, I mean, that's pretty standard for like some small events, I'd say. I feel like it's not like a very big tier 2 marquee event by any means.
I'm hoping it gets pushed as well in clients. We're like slowly getting there, you know, like more small tournaments, and we're slowly getting to maybe having like a Premier system, you know, or like a Clash system from League and Valorant and shit. So I'm hoping this kind of stuff gets highlighted in the clients and more, so even casual players that maybe don't even have Twitter or don't see this kind of news often actually get involved or even just discover this kind of system is out there. Because every now and then, like if I do go on Comp Overwatch, I'll see someone like, hey, is there any like tournaments for diamond players or like silver players kind of thing? And This, you know, you might not get too far if you have a full silver team, but it's still like good to have somewhere where people can compete. And in an official Blizzard capacity, I think it's really good too. Which also, Team Plat Chat, by the way, do not donor war me, Johnny. Do you know what donor war me? I added you yesterday. Team Plat Chat, maybe.
Well, Admiral, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, you know, Sean Miller said it. This is an opportunity for players who haven't had the chance to shine, and you know, Johnny, you didn't make the Overwatch League, and Connor, you didn't get to play. So I mean, this is the moment, fellas.
That's facts.
But
preseason
I think
this is your chance to shine, just like Sean Miller said.
It could be a chance to shine, but at the same time, I shine so much as it is. If I shine any brighter, I'm going to burn a hole through the fabric of reality. So we'll see. We'll see.
Rub the moisturizer.
So
a bit more.
the only person, you know, Scott's already won a stage title. I think it's it'd be kind of bullshit for him. You know, this is just he's shined enough. He just got married to guy's shining a bit too much. You know,
he is shining very brightly.
He is shining a lot at the moment. And this tournament is a chance for people that have had the chance to shine. Like Jack and I have got no competitive experience, but Jack is at least high ranked.
It's true.
I wouldn't even know what I'd play. Just put me on Brig, a one-trick Brig. Is that a good? That'll be good enough.
Nah, we'll
play only Brigana
in the back line, bro. Don't worry, we'll carry. I'm just saying, it would be fun. Team Plat Chat. Soon TM, maybe?
Custa also already has experience with that because he won the Flash Ops tournament. Experimental Flash Ops.
Which one?
Yeah. It was last year,
right?
I think.
It was it was the one that went last year. Yeah.
Was it one of the like hero specific ones, or was it like?
No, it's experimental.
So it had the funny.
He played with Landon, Dove, King, Infected, and Clear. So you know, if you're a support duo with Custa and Landon, like, damn, there you go, Dove and King on the same team. Yeah, he got carried. Wow, good job.
Yeah, Scott stacked his team. What is this guy doing?
True, actually.
He stacked his team with outplays.
He got like hard stacked that roster for sure.
Yeah.
Our roster would still be equally stacked, but more so with amazing personalities.
Yeah.
Than it would be with necessarily.
You know what? I think we can do it only if we get that moment with Scott yelling at everyone on Circuit Royale as Jungle Queen. If that moment can happen again during an official match, I'd be down for it. You know the one I'm talking about?
No, I actually don't.
You don't? What? It's the one in Circuit C. And he runs in, gets walled off and dies, and then yells at the rest of you guys for not following him. Connor remembers. Connor knows.
Now that I didn't know what you were talking about first, and then you reminded me of the wall.
Yeah,
the wall is a classic moment. Yes, this is like for real Custa heads out there. Like this, you're bringing out like some really obscure, like not like this is for Custa heads.
Was it really obscure? This was like a clip that went, you know, fairly widespread.
No, it was a big clip, but it wasn't like a humongous clip. It was like a good niche clip of like Custa molding.
Solomon's trying really hard to find around. He's like, shit,
like,
where's this clip?
I don't even know where you'd have to go to find it now at this point. Like it's that's what I'm saying. You brought up some deep obscure knowledge. But essentially he wants Custa to mold again, which I think he could. I think he'd mold again in that situation for sure. But
that's all the more reason to do a Plat Chat team. Yeah,
all the more reason to do a Plat Chat team. But I think for me, the path to pro announcement, I just want to see more of this. I want to see more of these events. I want to see more integration of these events potentially as well, because that's something that we really haven't done yet, is we haven't really integrated in general events as much into the ecosystem as often as we should, you know, for like, you know, when a big event's happening, like let's put stuff, you know, like, you know, we can put stuff in game, like here's all these rewards and events, you know, like pretty much like there's a lot more integration that taking place, and it could take place outside of the Overwatch League ecosystem too, to have people like drive interest to that and to like, you know, get rewards for like viewing and things like that. So like I'm pretty interested to see like how we're going to integrate these smaller events that are like they're specifically meant to exclude OWL, like they're to exclude OWL. It's not supposed to have any Overwatch League presence. It's only supposed to have like non-professional like Overwatch League players, and like what that ecosystem is going to look like the following year, because there's a real chance as we head into it, and like increasingly the franchise owners are like, oh fuck it, I don't care, like let's have an ecosystem. Pretty much like we could actually build kind of an ecosystem through apathy of the tier 2, which would be nice. And just like we get the best of both worlds, we get like a semi franchise and we get a semi open circuit. So
for this tournament specifically, I was just checking around socials. It hasn't really been promoted much. So I mean, Jack, you mentioned it'd be nice if they promoted this in game. But like, man, they haven't even put it on the Play Overwatch Twitter yet. There's not a retweet, nothing. So like, first step would be if they really want to push this a little bit harder, the Play Overwatch Twitter or other socials could maybe do a little bit of promotion. It's not on a Blizzard blog anywhere. So it's only on the Path to Pro. Is it even on the Overwatch League Twitter? Is it only Path to Pro Twitter? I'm pretty sure it's just on that, right? So I don't know if it's going to get much traction if it doesn't get promoted properly. It's probably one pitfall at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it is a pretty small tournament. It's just $5,000, but at some point, you want to lean into this stuff. I will say, with this open tournament model, I've been paying real close attention, guys. I've been paying real close attention to what content creators have been asking for this for ages and just begging for open tournaments, Ghost to Gamer style 2016, and just like, oh, we're missing this in the Overwatch ecosystem. I've been paying real close attention to what takes people have been having about this. And if you don't finally sign up for this tournament and you don't compete and you don't participate in this for whatever reason, I will be judging you. All right? You've been asking for this forever for content purposes. Here you go. Here's your open tournament. Round of 512 or whatever the fuck. There you go. Yeah, I think they should just like hard lean into this. Just hard lean into this. Make it like a quarterly thing. Give out prizes. I don't know. If you win, you get like a $5 video by Proper saying congratulations or something. Just like hard meme. Just talent in tuxedos. I don't care what it is.
He's suffered enough, Johnny. Proper has suffered enough this year.
No, he hasn't. No, it hasn't. It's a hard job. It's a hard job. It's a hard job.
Right now, there are people on Reddit and Twitter absolutely rubbing their hands. They want to see Proper suffer. They want to see him suffer more. That's their greatest joy in life. It's like, they've talked about him too much. They've talked about him too much. Please, he must lose more.
You know, the saddest part about that is Proper hasn't even done anything wrong. The guy's kept quiet, doesn't say anything, just plays the game.
No. He's done nothing wrong. All he's done is been really good at the video game.
He's just a dude who plays the game, doesn't involve himself in any drama. So anyone wanting him to fail is just kind of weird, because it's like the dude himself has just been chilling. Anyway.
Well, I don't think people have a problem with Proper per se. I think they have a problem with the Overwatch Content Creator Shadow Council that dictates the narrative, and have for too long we've been praising Proper. For too long we've been stirring up this narrative about him being the best player in the world, and we can't have that anymore.
They want him to fail for that. It's just like, well, he hasn't done anything wrong, so why do you want him to fail? Do you know what I mean? That's the point I'm trying to...
Yeah. No, you're right. Anyway, get Proper on the $5,000
by the way,
I'm kidding.
The Star Watch Open Tournament was promoted by Player Overwatch, but this one hasn't been there, so come on.
There was a Star Watch Open Tournament?
Yeah. Well, there was. Yes, correct. And it had $10,000 instead of $5,000.
Yes. Yeah. It had double the prize pool. Also, I think the Star Watch one, that one, like, because technically this tournament, which there has been some, like, it technically bans, like, you can't have, like, the top 4 contenders rosters, essentially, or, like, qualifying rosters into contenders. Like, they can play in the tournament, but just the full roster can't compete. And I think the Star Watch one, they allowed, there was, like, less limitations with that.
Yeah, it was, like, X amount of contenders or, like, tier 2 players per team.
Yeah, so like something like this particular tournament is what is it, like what is it called, like Diving Point or something? Isn't that the name of it? Is like, or Dive Point? It's more focused on like the open division, like tier 3/lower tier 2 side, with streamers, like also targeting streamers to be involved. So there's like different goals with different tournaments here, and personally, I kind of find that a little weird myself, because to me tier 2 tournaments should just be tier 2, and the only qualification to be like, do you qualify for, like, did you like essentially work your way through a series of tournaments before? Like, we have this kind of patchwork system with tournament, like what is excluded or not included with tournaments, I think. And it's not like, and part of it is because we're still figuring out, like, what is the ecosystem of Overwatch, right? How do we reconcile this to the Overwatch League, to where we know that like the franchise is too restrictive in certain ways, but also like we can't like wholly around it. And I want to see like a lot clearer guidelines, I think, for the tournaments, because like it's weird that every tournament has entirely different restrictions that gets announced, and there's no like clear path, right? There's no clear like, okay, here's what happens type of thing for each tournament. Like, I would much prefer like a series of tournaments, and you have all the outlines, like all the requirements highlighted at the beginning, versus just patchwork tournament. It's like really confusing to understand like each thing as it occurs, and it doesn't create as much continuity, I think, for like a year of competition per se. But that's also just a challenge to figuring out as they go along with it, because they're all trying to figure out like, how do we even run the tier 2 which it seems like they're actually sort of caring about doing again, and reconcile that with the Overwatch League system. So,
yeah, it's complicated. When you said it was like a patch, did you say patchwork? No,
patchwork. Yeah.
I mean, the Overwatch esports system is kind of cluttered. Like you have the Overwatch League, you have contenders, you have Open Division, Collegiate, Calling All Heroes, and the World Cup, and it's all kind of just like happening like simultaneously. And then you have these standalone tournaments. It's there's like a lot of moving pieces, so it's hard to stay on top of everything esports related in Overwatch. So, but that's a discussion for another day. Nice little tournament anyway. So if you're not competing in open tournaments, go sign up for Operation Die Party. It's gonna be fun. Moving on then. Last week we had a real popular tier list when we did the Tracer tier list. It was a good time, stirring up a bunch of shit. People were mad. Butch Mari threw us under the bus on Twitter, and also asked if we're doing a tier list this week. So I figured, because we had such success last week with doing a tier list, we have to do another one this week. Now, don't just want to do like Overwatch League player ones, hero ones, what have you. So this time around, we're doing a game one.
Oh yeah.
We're going to do maps, as people can already tell by the title and the CEO. So I don't know why I built it up slowly like this, because everyone knows it's happening. Yes, we'll be ranking all of the maps. I guess we'll continue the one-timer gimmick just to like move along, because there's a lot of maps in this game. So I don't know if Solomon's prepared it, but I'm sorry, Solomon, if that's not the case. I'm sure it'll be great. Any initial comments before we get into this?
Yeah, these are comp maps, so no free-for-all, no death match, anything like that. Just comp.
Mm-hmm.
Also, 2CP is in here. Don't
do we have, I was going to say, I see it. There's 2CP in here because I see Hanamura.
Right there. Yeah, Hanamura,
well, are we, should they even, I was going to say, should we even have 2CP in this?
Nope,
they should
not until they're in the game properly.
Yeah, so they should go into the literally removed by Blizzard tier.
Yes.
Oh, Hanamura. Oh, I miss you.
We'll just go through them as we go. Like,
where would you put Hanamura? You miss it.
In the literally removed by Blizzard tier. That's right.
Yeah, removed by Blizzard.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know, if we were doing the 2CP maps, I'd probably put like Anubis D tier and Hanamura like B, maybe.
It's up there,
You know.
Hanamura is one of the better 2CP maps.
Hanamura is definitely one of the more solid ones, in my opinion. But it's irrelevant to the point, because we're not...
It is kind of...
We're not doing
also,
that.
Horizon is in there. You can put Horizon in there.
Have you ever thought how 5v5 would play on 2CP? I do sometimes have that.
Honestly, I don't think 5v5 would be, because of the way that there's less tanks to control space. Like, I feel like your DPS have a lot more ability because there's less things to contest them. I actually think 2CP theoretically could play out better, but also it would have worse implications, because like you also have even worse things. Like if you lose one person in 5v5, typically, like if you like, then you're even more like hampered to take a last fight. Like if you're on Hanamura last, like, and you lose one, you're like, holy fuck. I mean, we've lost so much. We can't return.
Well, I mean,
back.
it caps really slowly, and the respawn advantage on B is like insane.
Exactly.
Defenders, so.
Because the PvPs are still in the game, right? Like in a custom lobby sense.
They are,
yeah. We just can't play them in like map rotations.
You want to do a Plat Chat 2CP tournament?
Yeah, we should actually. You could actually play 5v5 on 2CP right now.
The 2CP tournament would go hard. I would actually go crazy.
You'd have such absurd takes coming off of that. Just like, I had the most fun time watching Overwatch in forever with these 2CP maps. Let's get back into the game. Yeah. Maybe some crazy takes going
anyway,
on.
Put Volskaya up there. I don't know if Paris is in this list as well.
You can just
I think
it and then just
I think we'll do it, in order with the images here. So, are you guys ready?
Blizzard World. Let's go.
Here we go. Sorry, Blizzard World. Where's it going?
It's mid.
It's
very mid. Holy mid map. Jesus Christ. Second point is one of the most painful points in the game. That shit
really
sucks.
It is. It is.
Yes.
No, yeah. Second's pretty brutal. Second. I would say. I also think last is pretty brutal too. I think the last point is like, last is always really hard to cap because how the spawns are. The second point is so hard because the offense, it's so impossibly hard to cycle contest to keep the cart contested as defense, because there's so much geometry for the offenders to use. And like, and there's the sight lines are brutal, but like I don't think it's a bad map. I think it's a mid. I think it's honestly a pretty mid map, because I think first is pretty good. And I think the second point is fine.
Yeah, I'd move it to B, I think. I'd move it to B.
I think it's a B tier
is
map.
mid.
But I think A and sorry, not talking about the ranks anymore. It's just the points on the map. I think A and C are not my favorites, but B is at least fun to watch. I think B with how
B is fucking dog shit to play. It's so bad. You fucking kill one person, they're back in like 5 seconds, bro. The sight line's too
that's only the top end, though. Like if you were like Plat, I think it's fine. Anyway, we're spending too much time on this. But
anyway, yeah, it's fine. We gotta move on.
We gotta move on. All right, Busan. Where we going? Busan.
B for Busan. No, at least A, I think.
Yeah.
Really?
I like this one. No.
Every point is extremely different in terms of how you can play it and what comps you can run, and I think that makes a good 2CP map. Not 2CP.
Yeah, I mean, I used to hate the map a lot more in Overwatch. I think it used to be a lot worse than Overwatch 1 though. I think Overwatch 2 it's a lot better. Overwatch 1, like the way, especially like on some of the indoor ones, I forgot the particular name of that point, but like Mecha Base. Mecha Base was, I hated Mecha Base.
They're all unique, but the points are dog. Like I hate every point on this map.
I think Sanctuary's good.
I think Sanctuary's good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Sanctuary, I like Sanctuary. I think Sanctuary's fun. I would struggle to put this. It has to be B or A. In my opinion, I think it should go lower.
Really? All right. We'll settle with B.
A B for Busan.
It's fucking bad.
It's better than C. I agree.
Now C for Circuit. I like this map, but everyone else hates it.
I think Circuit's dog. I think Circuit's really bad.
Yep.
Okay. Circuit is only good if you play snipers. If you do not play a sniper character, it's dog shit.
Like what's good about? Tell me why do you love about Circuit? What do you think is good about Circuit?
Okay, so I'm gonna preface all of this by saying that I'm looking at it from like more of a competitive point of view in terms of more organized teams. So not talking about quick play.
But you can only play one comp. It's all like Sigma sniper comps.
Yeah.
I think I'm pilled by the fact that last year it was one of the only maps where it forced you to play another comp, and that was refreshing because like otherwise you just play, I don't know, other BS. It was the fact that it forced Sigma out was kind of cool in my opinion. Like, but it is pretty one-dimensional in that really it favors snipers way too much.
Yeah.
Favors one comp.
I will say it's a really cool looking map. I wish it was better, but compositionally it's not.
I don't think the map gets interesting until last point. I think last point is the most interesting part of the whole map.
Yeah, I think it's a fun map, but like
I think it's like a D tier. I think it's a D tier personally.
Ooh,
but to be fair, there are some really bad maps.
There are some really bad maps.
I think Circuit can make it D tier for me. So
I think it's a C only because I play sniper. Like
I think it's a C. Yeah, I think it's a C because the next map we're ranking is D, which is Colosseo.
Colosseo D. Yeah, Colosseo D. Not even. We don't have to even discuss about that too much, dude. That last, I mean, the matches, fucking this weekend where that stall. I think it was like, was it the Boston match where they were doing the bridge stall for so long? God, so actually cringe, the bridge stall on Colosseo. It's a D tier. That's so.
You know how they can fix that aside from making the contest range smaller, because I know there's issues with that.
Remove the glass. Remove the glass, Avril.
I don't care about the glass as much as Spillo does, but I'm talking about like the bridge, fixing the bridge area. Just elevate the bridge, make the bridge like go over, like make it curve over or something. I don't know, make it high enough that you can't contest. Is all I'm saying.
I will say aesthetically, as a very aesthetic guy. Sorry, Joss, I was speaking over you. As an aesthetic guy, I kind of like the aesthetic. Don't like how it plays.
I could say that about every single map. I'm sorry, Johnny. I don't give a shit.
No, there are some disgusting maps we'll get to. There are some maps I'll be hard on when it comes to that.
I'm sorry, I don't load into a game and go, oh, thank God, bro. Voskaya Industries is so nice to look, man. Oh, it's so beautiful. I can't wait to shoot myself in the fucking head for 8 minutes on second.
That's like if the art modifier has to be like at the very bottom of like the rule,
it's
like
so
where it
low.
That has to be at the very bottom of the priority of playing the map. The playability has to be at the top.
Yeah, that's I've not played ranked in 2 years moment. Like I don't play ranked, guys. I just like the look of the maps. It looks fucking wicked.
I have been playing ranked.
No one cares.
And also, yes, I value the playability and compositions more, but there's still nice aesthetic. It's still like a bonus point.
Guess what? There's a piano on certain maps and you can play it. There's a piano on Paris. Does that make it good? No, the map is fucking dog shit. Like, no, it's all about playability.
We ranked Colosseo last, but I still acknowledged that it was a nice looking map.
Sure.
Real quick.
Nice
it was not like I was like, S tier, it looks good, cool, Italy.
Real quick, before we move on, just on the playability of Colosseo, could this actually be the worst map currently? Because I don't know if that's a hot or cold take.
Let's decide at the end of the list. Maybe.
Okay. I'm thinking it might be, but we'll see at the end.
Yeah.
From discussing,
I'm kidding. I'm joking.
From discussing the worst map in the game, I'm willing to go there. Dorado is the best map in Overwatch 2. I'm willing to go there. I love all the points. On point A, you can hold forward, you can hold back with Widow, you can play all types of compositions. B, great high ground for defense, but it's not like overpowering high ground to the point where you're just like, I hate my life, the defense has so much high ground. You can flank over to the left side, to the right side, you can run through bank. The payload is awesome. You can sit on the payload, play around the payload. The payload on the Bonnie, for example, sucks ass. The payload on Dorado is just incredible. And third point is dynamic. If there was one map in the game that I just was forced to play over and over again, it'd be Dorado. Incredible aesthetics, S tier. Dorado is the best map in the game. It's not even close.
Yeah,
I think quite cringe considering hybrid exists as a game type, and most of those maps are good. I will agree with you. It's the best escort map. Like, I would say it's the best escort map for sure because of how dynamic it is. And I don't mind playing Dorado. If I load in, I'm like, okay, Dorado, that's pretty sweet.
Are we really confirming this is an S though?
Yes.
I
don't think it's S. I think it's A because it's the best escort map. There are definitely better fucking maps out there for sure. Because
I do like Dorado, so I'm okay with an S. I'm okay with an S.
Let me talk about Dorado for a second as well. This is on many of the points that Johnny said, but also the fact that you can just play so many different areas on this map. This is one of the few maps where the opening spawn hold isn't just a Rhine. It's just a Rhine brawl comp like spawn camping like on Havana. You can actually do more variable stuff. More comps have been viable over the history of this map. We've seen a number of different comps be viable on this map. B's got interesting design in terms of the high ground, low ground play, but also the different flanking you can do. And C is, I think C point tends to be weak for a lot of map designs. And Dorado C feels pretty fair. You can do a lot of different things there. Play through different angles, high ground. Different heroes can even jump through that left side from attacker's POV and get to the back. There's just so many things you can do on the C point. I think the C point of Dorado really improves it on the ranking for me because, again, most of the C points on most maps I don't like.
Yeah.
All right. We got to move on with the timer because otherwise this rank is going to be like 3 hours long.
E for Eichenwalde.
Eichenwalde. I like Eichenwalde.
Good map.
Hybrid, I like Eichenwalde.
Hybrid, which makes it an easy A minimum.
Well, you can't just rank maps because of the mode they are in.
Not all the hybrids deserve to go A. Not all the hybrids deserve to go A. A lot of the hybrids are going to be the A, but like honestly, would you take I don't know. I think Eichenwalde, when I think about like the hybrids, Eichenwalde is like one of my least favorite of the hybrids.
This is a B for me.
Really?
I think it's like it got a lot better. Like the second point on Eichenwalde in Overwatch 1 was so dog.
Pain.
So
it was
dog.
Pretty dog. Yeah, it was pretty dog.
It got mitigated a lot by one less tank being on the field. But also in return, you got extra other options because like technically, but I think it has to be, it's either a B or a C, honestly. I don't think it's an A.
Let me talk about like for a second. I think B is fine, but A and C, I do not like it, especially C. A point on Eichenwalde is so one-dimensional. It's entirely flat. You got this big tower in the middle, and that's about it. There's not a lot you can. Okay, cool. The defense has a little bit of high ground to play with in that little room, but it's just
No, you can. But there's some of the cool flanks you can do through. Like you can go through the gates and go around the spawn to go and take the opposite high ground. You don't always have to go for just like an aggressive. Also, you have the flank to work through to like work through like a flank on the far side.
Most of the metas that we've seen on Eichenwalde is a lot of like teams holding back further towards the point or playing like long. We've seen a lot of poke on this map. And A has mostly been playing around the point instead of anywhere else closer further up. And then C is just so lacking different approaches on the flanks, super open space.
All points are pretty
I think C is pretty rough. C is pretty rough, but also it shifts the tempo of the map. C is kind of interesting though in a way.
Even the choke on first point. The choke on first point as attacker, like if your team doesn't go with you behind the Rhine shield or some shit, it kind of sucks. All points are oppressive. So yeah, I think B for Icon.
I mean, honestly, it's even almost worthy going to a C.
Jaws is like rolling his eyes at a hybrid map.
I think it's an A.
I don't mind C.
How is that an A?
Because hybrid is just objectively a better game mode than every other.
But the problem is,
Blizzard will be. You didn't care about that
though.
Yeah, because Blizzard World belongs in B because the second point is one of the worst points in the game. Like straight up.
But Eichenwalde second is still not that fun. Eichenwalde second is
B on Icon as attacker. B on Icon as attacker is literally your Cassidy peeking the gate and just like hoping to not get picked by high ground. That's like a tower. Like,
It's
what
rough,
is that?
But it's way
know
better
what?
in terms
I
of like
think I got it.
spawn camping from the fucking defenders.
I think Jack likes the map aesthetically.
Oh yes,
Lore tied into the map. Lore on my maps. Hell yeah.
Lore,
I'm all
any
up, down
lore.
for the
Me
lore
when I'm
and
going
lore.
collecting all the audio journals, hearing what Baptiste has to say in the map.
I
would say B
can.
is fine.
Ryan retelling the stories of Icon. Hell yeah. Okay, talking about lore. Winston's lab.
Gibraltar C.
G for Gibraltar.
Yes, absolute C map.
Absolute
B
C.
is still
Really?
terrible.
Yeah,
It's
B
so
still
unique
sucks.
though. Point B is iconic.
It is.
It's iconic.
It's iconic.
It's
I mean, it's iconic that that's ass. It's iconic that's one of the.
No. Why is it
Gibraltar B is has been one of the worst points in any map ever in the history of video games.
Play against a good
200%.
hit scan. Play against a
I
good
like,
hit scan.
I like that it's been like 7 years and it's not figured out. Gamers still struggling.
Gibraltar B is objectively, it is a Paris. Like if we were to break out Gibraltar B and make its own map for Gibraltar B, it would be Paris tier. It would be a Paris tier map.
Why don't you like it?
So
Why don't you
bad.
like it? Why?
Why don't you
There's
like it?
no
'Cause
way you can be a devil's advocate here. There's
they're
no
on
way.
the fucking-
Apple,
they're sitting
how
there
many
up
hours
on
you got in the
high-
game?
What are you kidding me, right? Gibraltar, you're approaching the point. They're all up on the fucking high ground. You're trying to jump in. You're taking like 3 million damage. Like everyone, like there's two chokes on either side, easily controllable that you can cycle contest. Then you have to cross this vast no man's land to get even close.
Let me respond.
Guys, I'm jumping the plane, guys. I'm jumping the plane.
If you win the first fight after somehow not losing your tank immediately on the jump,
Let me
you
respond.
recontest because the spawns are so close and there's like so many angles to come back in. It sucks. It sucks so much ass.
Hang on. No, don't.
Yeah,
come on.
there it is.
Okay. All right. Well, we're way out of that meta now, thankfully. What I do agree with is how choky it is to get onto the point, but like out of that scenario that you're talking about, where like a team just can't even escape spawn, once the teams are actually playing on the point, it's probably the most unique point in the entire game because it's the only point that I can remember right now where no, I think it's uniquely. I think it's good personally because it's like three tiers of elevation, and it's like very rare in an Overwatch map that you get 3 tiers of elevation. You know what I'm saying? Like inside the shuttle, on top of the shuttle, then below in the ground as well.
Bold second.
It
has 4 tiers of elevation. It has the basement. It has the ground level. It has tier 2, and then it has high ground. 4 tiers of elevation.
Here's the thing. It might not be the best map, but please, devs, leave the map alone. It's iconic.
But the fights on Gibraltar still break down the same, where it's like you just have like 2 people. You typically have like two people, like 2 flankers fighting on the point, cycle contesting, and then everyone's like kind of re-jump and jump high ground, play the mega pack room. It's flowchart Overwatch. It's flowchart Overwatch on Gibraltar because you don't have as many. Yes, there's a lot of elevation.
Right.
But we have to stop talking about it. But you know, we
gotta stop talking about it.
It's a C map.
All right, Havana up next. You like getting spawn camped? You like long sight lines? You like a point?
Oh my D tier map. D tier.
I would say D. Yeah.
D
yeah,
tier.
it's bad.
One of the most oppressive lasts to attack. First is really annoying. Second is okay.
Ass. No,
I actually think point B. I think point B
the best point in the game.
I think point. No, well, that's
sorry. No, not the game. What? Just the map. The map.
Yeah, I was going to say point B is definitely the best point in the map, but like it's still pretty bad. I agree, but like last point and first point are fine, pretty annoying, especially last. Last point sucks.
Last is really bad. This is actually maybe it's even worse than I can boldly see. Both the last points here, and I'll get it all.
It's one of the worst lasts in the game because it's literally a castle, a fortress.
It's meant to not be assaulted.
I think A is okay. I think the A point is actually okay. I don't love it, but I think it's okay. The fact that you can
is all right.
The fact that you can employ like different strategies in terms of do we want to do a spawn camp here? Do we not want to do that play range? And then the different approaches you can have. Like there's actually it is pretty sniper dominated, but you can at least, I think play through different angles and go through different pathways to make that work on A.
I just hate the options. Like as attacker, it's like either we go into them or like our option is like to flank into this building on the right side to like get. Like what? I don't know. It's a dumb point. First point is just dumb. Just dumb.
The only way that you can escape
correct.
The sniper fire is going through a really narrow choke. Unless you somehow manage to win the flank on another narrow choke to then cross up into the building to get high ground. So it's
D?
It's D.
All right, Hollywood. This now gets exciting.
Classic map.
At least
it has to be at least A. I mean,
elevators are fixed.
Yeah, with the elevators being fixed, fixed so much of the map for me. Legitimately, it fixed a lot of issues for the map for me.
I don't know how you guys feel, but I think Hollywood B is the best B point in the entire game.
Yes.
First.
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually do agree. I think Hollywood B is one of the I also think the A is pretty good.
Best point in the game?
The best B point.
Best B point.
Out of like B point. Out of like an escort or a hybrid.
That's an interesting tier list. I haven't thought about that tier list, guys. So I'll be honest.
I actually tend to agree. I don't think any of them come close because I don't like Dorado's B nearly as much as
Hollywood B is. It feels super balanced. Okay, you get out of the choke, and now the entire map opens up. The high ground is fair because there's elevators, and so different types of comps can actually play the high ground. There's some indoor sections that are kind of cool as well.
You have a lot of cover to cross in between different areas. It's pretty like you can like dive pretty effectively. It's a very
you have to be able
distance.
to play dive. If you don't play dive on this map, if you have a tank that can't play dive, holy pain the Reno on attack.
Well, yeah, that does suck, but you can still do it.
Swap your comps on this map because on second,
yeah, you can still swap.
It can be painful not to play dive, but if you just like speed boost or even like walk past the choke, like AVRL was saying, you can then wrap to mega and lift on the right hand side of the map as attacker, go up the lift, and then force your way across the bridge.
Oh,
and,
I love that. 5 stacking on the elevator. Classic.
You can even wrap into saloon. You can wrap into saloon and then go out of saloon to the other elevator and take the opposing high ground. Like you have like a couple different options to contest the point there. Like I personally think Hollywood's an S.
I would say S or A.
The only
S. The
only thing about Hollywood that holds it back is maybe it is an S, but the one downside of Hollywood I think is on the last point, the final capture area is really badly designed in my opinion.
Yeah, the final point is bad.
The part leading up to it with the little spaceship aliens and the high ground, that part's fine. But when you actually get past that and into the final point, the final point is really bad.
That one sucks.
I disagree. I actually think that final choke, like the very final choke, like when you push the payload into like the parking thing or whatever, like that final choke, one of the most exciting chokes in the game.
How is it? But it's all the same. You're just sitting there idling with the fight for so long.
Yeah, but then like there's a small build up of tension. It's just like, okay, we have to cross this choke that is like deadly, and we have to push through with engage with an ultimate probably, and like the tension is on. Like there is real tension. You just like you know it's gonna come down to this choke. I think it's a great choke.
It just feels very one dimensional. Compare it to Dorado C, where the final cap is still very open. You can play. The high ground overlooks it. You can go over the top of like the wall. You can go around the left side and flank up the wall as well. There's just so many different ways to approach. This is why like when we compare the C points, Dorado C point just clears Hollywood C so hard. Hollywood for me is mostly where it gets the points for me is B. B point for Hollywood is where I think most of the value for Hollywood is.
All right, we gotta decide S or A, guys.
I think S personally.
I think when I'm thinking about the hybrid maps, I mean it's probably up in the S. Like I would be fine getting Dorado or Hollywood. To me, if I'm pretty equivalent getting both the maps, I put them both in S.
Okay, we'll put them S. I think S is fine.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Moving on. We got Ilios. Is this our first control map?
This has grown on me.
No, second. Yeah, we got the sound already.
This is so. Here's the problem. I'm laying out my paradigm, just how I'm arguing. I will not put a single control map in S. I won't do it. Won't put a single control map in S.
I'd be down to put it on A.
I think A is potentially worthy because Ilios has grown on me over time because I've actually come to really appreciate both Lighthouse and Well. I think both those maps, there's like the fights, how they take breakout are pretty interesting. It's unless you like are getting spawn camped, you're not necessarily losing a lot of picks, or they have a Pharah, which is probably the most oppressive it can be is when you have a Pharah on this map. Pharah on this map, if it's like emergency Pharah and you're not contesting, God, it sucks. Like it sucks really hard because you get predators.
But it's also great that exists though.
Yeah, you have the option. The option. And even Ruins, I think Ruins has really opened up. Like it used to be just a Widow Fest, but with the changes to meta and stuff, like Ruins has really opened up with a lot of different strategies as time's gone on too. Like I actually think Ilios is a pretty solid A.
Yeah. I'll be real with you,
I'd say A for sure.
Well has not grown on me. I think maybe I'm just biased against like maps that heavily rely on environmental kills.
Oh, come on. You hate environmental kills? Who are you? Do you hate Christmas too? What the fuck,
put words
man?
in my mouth. Hang on. I didn't even fully explain it. I don't like that map for environmental kills, but like other maps, like for example, Oasis with his cars, but that's on the coast. Coast side of Ilios as well is fine. But when you have this giant well in the middle, I think that to me, okay, it's created some like interesting moments that are funny, but from a competitive standpoint, like it feels uncompetitive.
It's the best, dude. It's the best when people fall into the well.
It's the best if you want to have a laugh. You just want to like, ha, someone fell into the well. But like, from a competitive
You'd
standpoint,
rather they just like make it flat. They just like fill in the hole with dirt and like comb it over. It's all grass. It's even. It's a football field.
It could be you could do Oasis University, but I mean that would just maybe that would change it too much. My point is like I don't know. It feels gimmicky. I think the word that comes to mind is a well feels gimmicky, whereas at least environmentals and other maps it feels more fair.
It is a little. It's a tad. I mean, honestly, I can see it. It's a tad gimmicky for sure. I think it's pretty mitigated by the fact that like what's interesting about the well is that it forces a lot of the fight off the point. So like you're taking the fight in the surrounding geometry a lot, which is kind of interesting comparatively to like Oasis, like City Center, where you're taking the fight is all on the point. It's all on the point the whole time, and there's nothing to ever force you off the point really. Like I think well actually it adds some interesting dynamics, but I will agree that because of there is some gimmick to it, which is why on top of the fact it's controlled that it will never go to an S tier.
Avast gameplay, poggers.
Oh wait, this is actually Avast gameplay.
This is the Avast gameplay right here.
Avast is just Roach and a free field.
Look at this Lucio Mercy gameplay. This Lucio Mercy fucking old as hell gameplay.
Oh, there he is. There
I am. So young.
You look at Lighthouse though. You look at Lighthouse and Ruins. I feel like this coast side environmental feels good for the map. Like it's
because I mean it's not you're not having to deal with it's not omnipresent.
Exactly.
On the rest of the map. Yeah, it's not omnipresent.
That's where I come down
to. Mercy,
I think it should still be like an A. No, I still think
it should be an A.
Yeah, I still think the map is good. I still think that generally the map is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all points are really creative. I think they're unique. I like Ilios. I always say when I played professionally, hated Ilios, but I really like Ilios now. So it's grown on me over time. All right. What map do we have next here on the tier maker? Let's take a quick look after Solomon has diverted from MLG TV. Junkertown. Oh my god, guys. I freaking hate Junkertown. I hate Junkertown.
At least C, maybe D. Because I
aesthetics are so bad, guys. I hate it.
Shut the I think the problems with this map. First point, Widow duel. First point, just gigantic sniper duel. There's nothing else to do other than play snipers. There's some teams that have tried to do other stuff and it's like hit or miss. Second point, also ass because sniper and the first choke. Going through the first choke if you have control of the high ground. Oh my god. And then you get the last, and it's also just that last is legitimately probably one of the better parts of the map, and it's still not very good because you have one of the worst chokes in that last point where you're coming through those doors and the other team gets set up and you're fighting through that. Like, I don't know. There's just it somehow is combined both sightlines and choke into some sort of chimera beast of awfulness. And like it's a C or a D for sure.
I'd say a C. For sure.
Yeah, probably.
I'd rather play Junkertown than I would Havana. Like, 10 times out of 10.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just don't like queuing into this brown desert poo map. Like, it just my eyes.
Johnny hates Australia.
He hates Australia. He hates Australia.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to aesthetics, you know, if any Overwatch 2 artists are looking at this, you know, it's a really cool thing, like a Junkertown, like all the signs are really cool, like. You know, it's really cool that way. Just like my eyes. I don't want to look at brown poop all day. I just don't like the color, to be honest.
He doesn't like junk.
Not a fan.
I don't like junk.
Australia, man.
I like the town. Don't like the junk. That I was say.
I think we should be adding more poo-based maps to Overwatch, ideally.
But yeah, all points are kind of oppressive. I don't know. I just don't like attacking on any of the 3 points.
It's bad
usually B points on these maps save them, but not even for this map. I feel like even for this map, B is very average. So, but it's all just average for me. Like it's not as oppressive as some of the stuff we see. Like no map will be as bad as Colosseo in my opinion. So I think it still clears D for now.
All right, we're saving some time because we all agree on Junkertown. Kings Row, my guys.
It's a classic. It's an S. It's a classic. It's the best map in the game, I'd say.
I'm probably the only one. I'm the only one. I think Connor and I might be the only ones who don't like this map as much as others do.
I'm actually
it's not the best map in the game.
Over time, Kings Row has actually like I've noticed as I've gone older, Ilios has gone higher for me and Kings Row has gone lower. I hated Ilios on release, but like to me the two have and I love Kings Row, and then I've slowly shifted my opinions over time where I think Kings Row though is still, it would never fall below out of an A. It's definitely an A no matter what. I think first point is pretty well designed. I think this last point is pretty good. Second, I have, but the thing is like, even my minor complaints with it, I still think it's probably an S tier because I still think Kings Row offers something that a lot of maps don't, which is you have a variety of different ways to approach points. The only real big thing for me about Kings Row is going from first to second if there's a hold on the choke. Sure. Going from first to second from that chokehold is brutal. That's like my number one complaint with Kings Row. If you're like, especially if there's like, because oftentimes there's a lot of May comps or like Ryan May. So
you're talking about first archway, right?
Yeah, the first archway, the first major choke after you cap. Like that one is my least favorite.
That shit does inspire a lot of dumb, silly hero shit and May walls, which I say would make any map less fun, creating terrain to just force chokes. But the rest of the map is, there's no way I think you could put it less than an S. Like that choke is the worst point in the game, I'd say. But like the spawns aren't, like I've never felt like I'm cheated with the spawn either. I'm like, okay, you know, we're not, if I die going 2 second as an attacker, I don't feel scammed. I'm not like super far away, but then I'm not like super close either. So the defenders feel like they're getting cheesed. I mean, maybe on last for defenders, you can, because with like Widow, you can grapple out really quickly and get a decent sight line, but there's boxes in the way. So you kind of get rolled sometimes if you go out from the right-hand door. If you go from left, you have a less of a sight line. But I think overall the map just has too much going for it to put it any less than S. Like there's no shot. That choke was the worst for sure.
I'm not gonna lie, guys. I went into this podcast and I was theorizing on how I could be like anti Kings Row, but like you just can't. I think the only reason why I'm similar to Avast, where like, okay, let me do my thing and then I'll let you rant up for a little bit, Avril. I was kind of like Avast, where I was like, Ilya was kind of up over time and Kings Row kind of down over time. But I think from a design perspective and like compositional, like how it plays, I think the only reason why I don't want to put Kings Row down is just because it's been like so featured so heavily for like 7-8 years. I think it's purely me just getting bored of the map. Like objectively, I think the map is just great. It's iconic. It deserves to be an S tier. I think it's just my personal like boredom of the map over time that has like, you know, deteriorated on me. But Avril, be the anti-Kings Row
I just don't have rose-tinted glasses for this map at all. This is easily the most, like, geometry, based on geometry, the most narrow, close quarters map, where, like, everything is super choky. C opens up slightly, but not in a good way. And, you know, the B on this map as well is, like, you just go through these snaky alleyways with very little... I mean, okay, the good news is you can flank. There's no like real high ground play here. You can play through some windows, but it's not like other well-designed B points. Like, you know, if Hollywood is like the king of B points, where you have contestable high ground where action actually happens rather than just like people poking out from you just looking through windows. I used to really dislike A point, but I think it's grown on me a lot. Just seeing different strategies develop over time for A point, TP strats, moving around the big rotations. Through all the big hallways there on the high ground. I think that's A has actually now become my favorite point on Kings Row. It used to be one of my more hated points. Yeah, I just think that the design wise of this map is just way too.
What is bad? You don't like the snake, but what is bad? What are you missing on this map?
I don't like how close quarters the map design is compared to other maps, which is a bit more open. I think
which doesn't enable like snipers. You want like Widow on this map?
Not even snipers, but like just more.
High ground, Winston.
Open gameplay with some more high ground contesting, or more high ground gameplay that's not just shooting out of windows. When I talk about high ground gameplay, I'm talking about high ground you can actually contest and play on. That's not like, you know, what is this high ground really used for? It's just from looking out a window, if that makes sense.
I mean, I feel like though that's a little unfair to the first point in particular, because first point, like taking, like there's always a constant battle. Obviously there's the windows in the back of the point, but there's on that right side near on the mega, go up the stairs from the mega. It's like, you can definitely fight for that high ground pretty, and like once you control there, you have like ability to contest the windows, you have ability to contest the point. Like I think there's like the first one in particular, I think is the best value, because I do agree second, the high ground loses value for the first portion of it. Like there's a lot less dynamic, but then you get to the second part of second. Once you get past those initial like streets phase, the walkway high ground is really valuable area to control. Good. So, like, I don't know. I think, to me, I agree with you, which is why I was hesitant to put it in S, Avril. I think you have a really good point. But at the same time, I think Kings Row is still only one of the few maps to help mitigate it and give you options on different areas of the map, even if some of the areas are still... Which is why I'd probably put it towards the end of the S tier. I don't think I'd put it towards the top of the S tier.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, I think we can kind of agree on that. We got to move on. Next up, another classic, Lijiang Tower, guys.
Surely. I know you don't want to put. I know you don't want to put any control maps in S, but
I think
that's Joel's opinion.
I don't know. It's a me opinion.
It's an Avast. Sorry.
Oh, was it a Avast opinion? Yeah,
it's a me. It's a me.
If there is one control map that could be S rather, it's probably Lijiang. If you want to have rose tinted glasses for a map like for King's Row, then this is the map you bring out the rose tinted glasses.
Disagree.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking that way. I was actually like, oh, Lijiang Towers, but I will tell you, control center. Actually, rose tinted glasses. It's actually a bad control point. You just force Ryan and you go into the white room, and it's just stupid. It's a stupid control center. Is stupid. It's stupid.
Isn't that most of the control maps? Most Koth maps has that one map that's just the Ryan map.
Yes, which is why control is so dumb.
Except the village and lighthouse, you can actually like force like Far Mercy and like try to play like ball or something and play around it. Control center, you're just like stuck in the forest, just like sitting in the roof, just like fucking banging his head against the roof.
Control center, the high ground little perch thing, that dumb. Entire high ground is dumb. Like nothing ever happens there.
So dumb. And then also you actively get punished for taking the high ground on the exterior of the map because of the environmental damage that you could do, because of theoretically losing people to environmental kills. Like, and also for some reason the high ground has like a giant it's just no, I just don't like it.
Guys,
I think
Night Market and Garden though, those are two really good control points.
Rachel Dickinson in chat is right. Symmetra ruined Night Market.
Yeah, Night Market because of the Symmetra strats is terrible. Like that's the other thing too. Night Market is like they're all Lijiang. I almost want to put Lijiang in the B. That's how much.
Oh my god!
I'd actually agree with you on that because control is a flawed game mode.
Yes, and also control is objectively the flawed game mode. Like we're only supposed to be talking about this because it's currently in the game, so we have to talk about this. But like control to me is like one of those game modes where I would love to like, how do we potentially revamp this? Because like the max amount of time you can play a control map like a round is 5 minutes, while like the max around for like everything, I think for like push is like 10, right? So to me, honestly, watching push feels better than control. Still feels better to watch because of the pace of it, but push is actually it feels to me at times you have more opportunities to come back on push than you do control sometimes. Even though I know
that's mathematically incorrect.
I know, but it just feels that way to me sometimes. It just feels that way when I'm watching it. Like obviously control,
you don't have to undo. You don't have to undo.
Yes, you don't have to undo damage. You don't undo damage.
First.
Yes. I understand. I
do see where Connor's coming from. The feeling of playing control. Yeah, I 100% get that, because when you lose the first cap on control, it feels terrible because you're permanently fighting into better ultimate charge on the enemy team, and you are also fighting down because you are losing time on the point, and it just feels terrible.
And yet
Ilios is a good map because it has a lot of variety and just the map design is good. Like there's no shot of control goes in S, like no fucking way.
But I do be fair, I'm being mean. I'm being mean to Lijiang here. Lijiang is the pace of the map, like the amount of fights you can take and everything. And also there is some I think it probably still earns its spot in A. I just wouldn't be upset to see it in B.
Yeah, I think it belongs to B because Ilios is just better. Like I'd rather queue into Ilios than Lijiang.
I'm really questioning whether I should unleash these takes. I know that control is really dishonest. I know the control is very dishonest, and I know the first fight win rate thing is like really skewed with control. I have the most fun when I play control maps. I really have so much fun playing control maps.
Fair. That's also part of the map design debate here, right? If you enjoy playing the game mode, even if it's flawed, it still inherently probably goes up on a tier list.
3 mini games in one game, and like I think that's what is most.
I love that feeling.
It. Yes, I completely see why that's a positive for a lot of people.
And also, like on some payload maps, or even like push, where the opponent would just like snowball you. The fact that on control, you can let the opponent have a point, but then you can like mentally reset. You can change your comp. Like, hey guys, what are we doing wrong? Like sometimes on ranked, we'll like play some comp and just like face plant and we'll get like 100-0. And then we change our composition just like drastically. And we like come back to like win the match. And like that is the best feeling ever. And you don't really get that on payload to the same degree because you just get snowballed. And then you change comps on like halfway through B, and then you have no ults and it just feels terrible. I just think control is fun. It's imbalanced, it's dishonest, but it's fun.
I'm thinking now in comparison though to the other control maps and just the map in general, I think Lijiang probably should still be an A. I think Lijiang probably should still be an A tier map.
Yeah,
Or whatever, yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
I
really
think about the other
Helios.
maps we have left. I think it has to be an A tier map.
Yeah. There you go. Pretty done. All right, next up, Midtown.
Is mid.
Is
Yeah.
the best map that they've made in Overwatch 2, I'd say. I think that map is good. It is fun to play on. It is actually fun to play.
That's
The best map in Overwatch 2.
That's a
They've
take.
made. What other maps? What other maps have they made? Go through the list right now. What other maps have
Shambali
they made
Monastery,
that's good?
Antarctic Peninsula, Colosseo, New
Shambhali
Queen
is fucking
Street,
terrible.
Esperanza,
Shambhali's, I actually
That's terrible
think
map.
that Antarctic Peninsula
and
is,
Paraiso.
Yeah, okay. Actually, yes. All right, I'll give you Antarctic Peninsula.
I think Antarctic Peninsula is potentially a better map. I agree with Shambhali Monastery, but okay, that's beside. We'll talk about it later. I think Midtown though probably should be a B. I think it should be, you don't think it's what? Do you think it's an A?
I think it's an A. It's not an S. I think it's an A though.
What like so think about like
Hybrid
what are
is
some
good.
of the
Hybrid is a good game mode straight up, right? Hybrid is just a good fucking game mode. The second point, okay, let's go through the first point. The first point, you can take two routes. One route doesn't exist because it's the train. It fucking sucks. But like your ability to flank or ability to kind of walk straight into them, depending on the comp, is good. There's no like, you can play like things like Widowmaker. You can play things that are really close up on the defensive side, but it's not like super oppressive where you're just like walking into the fucking Widowmaker sightlines without like some sort of cover like you do on a lot of other fucking maps like Junkertown. So I think that's got it going for it. On defense, you can play a lot. On the offense, you can play a lot. When you unlock B, I'd say B is one of the more frustrating ones because the cart is completely separated from the high ground.
I think B is ass.
Tough to juggle. That point, I would say, is the worst one of all of them, for sure. But again, there's more flank routes you can take on B. You can quickly take the high ground stairs and then have one flanker push the payload, or you can go on the right side to go up the staircase as well. So there's two different angles you can take to get that high ground away from defenders. And then you do overlook the defenders, but the defender spawn point is so close that it kind of balances out in a way where the defenders are respawning quicker and getting to the fight quicker, but you do have a high ground that kind of looks over the defender's spawn-ish, but there's still like obstacles in the way. And then when you move on to C, there's long sight lines, yes, but it's not uncommon to see you cap with time, but it's pretty common, I feel, to cap with just OT, which is, I think, the mark.
If defender has a good widow on the sideline, it's ass. It's also ass.
You could say that for a lot of fucking maps. I'm just saying,
yeah, but it's particularly
the least egregious out of all of them. And the Widow does have a decent sightline onto the choke point on C. Yeah,
I think there's some bad choke points though for this map though. There's some pretty bad choke points, like particularly B. Like when you're going from first to B, like A to B, that first choke point, defenders could hold it aggressively. And it kind of sucks at times if they're holding that choke point really aggressively.
Yes.
Additionally, I think like the A point choke point, you do have some wraparound options, but you still have to get through the choke initially. You know, you still have to get through that choke. Though you do have some options to split, so I don't think it's as bad.
You can.
I also think the defender recontest
the alley is
for
another
A.
big choke that you just get slammed in.
Also, the defender recontest for A is pretty bad.
Defenders 5-stacking on alley.
No,
Bro,
you're not.
dude,
No,
I've never
did I
seen a
say they're
team
5-stacking? I didn't say that.
alley. You need to get through that, but you just fucking go with your team. You know what I mean? And
You can get marked. It doesn't have to be a 5-stack. Like however many people go through alley can get marked by the same number of players, and then you're stuck in a choke. You have to.
A sucks. A sucks.
No matter what you do,
attackers just like
in a choke.
let's wide swing. We're wide swinging like Valorant.
Whatever, sure.
Fun.
Okay, I'm not going to win this, but the amount I've played of that map and the amount I play ranked, like I would rather play Midtown.
I mean, I actually don't think A's that bad. I just think midpoint should be. I think my biggest problems with A aren't even the choke. It's also the recontest from the defenders because like you have that humongous giganto room that can't be controlled at all. And like if you even if you win the first the one like when you first swing out, there's the stairs leading from the train. There's that first choke and that really narrow choke next to the point.
Oh, sure.
There's like the larger room. My issue with that one is that it's way harder to control that and zone it. And additionally, like if you take a fight on stairs, you can't really zone that point. And if you take a fight for that, they can back up so easily and then have such a huge angle to come back and recontest at the same time. Like it's. A, to me, the issues with the choke are it's compounded by both the choke and also the defender recontest options. I think it's compounded by those, especially if you lose someone, you have even less ability to contest it. Like, so it's like, and that's also the very careful map design is like, if you have just giant chokes for the defenders to recontest, it sucks for the defenders to recontest. You don't have an option to come back. But if you have like huge sight lines and like a really big, area to enter from, it's also impossible to control if you are down a man or even like in the neutral fight. So I don't know. I'm pretty like.
We gotta move on. So
I think it's B. I think it's a B though.
Sure. I personally think it's an A, but if you guys want B, and
all right, you move it up and B a bit. Yeah, I don't know, above Blizzard World.
I'd put it. I might put it above Eichenwald, honestly.
Yeah. So yeah.
We'll do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, I think I put it above Eichenwald.
Next up, Nepal, ladies and gentlemen, we got Nepal.
It's not as good as any of the other control maps.
Yeah, it's really not. Like, I dislike Village to a point. Like, that map is so fucking shit.
Why? No, it's alright. It's alright, Joss.
The first rollout is fun. Village first rollout is fun. But the rest of that map is just awful. You win that first fight, good fucking luck.
You can rush the points, you can take the high ground.
Have you ever played support like an Ana or like a BAP and play on the defensive side of that
No, it's a dumb role. Why do you play support?
It's a dumb role? Bro. Oh my god, I'm just
I also, you know what? The thing is that Nepal has a bunch of like crucial problems with it. It's got a bunch of crucial problems with the choke points. It's got a bunch of crucial problems with like how you're approaching the point. Legitimately, this is gonna sound like actually crazy.
Okay.
But like, I almost believe that Sanctum might be one of the best points, if not the best on Nepal.
Sanctum is great. Sanctum is great. It really is great. You can play Winston, you can play Sigma, Hanzo, you can play Rush and play Ring Around the Rosie and just like chase around with a Lucio. You can go hard poke from the sides. You can go
Sanctum
map
has grown
control.
On me I have grown to like Sanctum more
it's a
than
thinking
Shrine
control
or
round.
Village. Or Sanctuary, or is it Sanctuary Village?
I think Shrine. It's Shrine and Village. I think Shrine is the good sub map on this one.
Shrine is also great.
What I don't like about Sanctum is similar to Well, but not as bad as well as the gimmicky environmentals in the middle of the map. But also the fact that because that environmental exists, it forces the entire map into 2 lanes on either side. And so the entire game is just mostly play on those 2 lanes until something happens on the point. And it's just, I feel like the Sanctum itself just loses so much map geometry. Like, there's so little real estate on that map compared to any other map. And you might say that's like maybe a good thing, but at the same time, forcing the game into essentially 2 lanes is, in my opinion, not good.
It's way better than University. That map is awful.
We'll get to Oasis.
We'll get to University.
Top of B, in my opinion. Top of B.
Sure. B for sure.
It's better than Busan. 100% it's better than Busan. Yeah. I think Nepal is a classic.
Okay, I can live with that.
Shrine is good too. Yeah, you know, just like flanking around the point on Shrine.
I'm looking at the scene because I mean I would take Nepal over all the maps below Nepal currently, in my opinion. So
Shrine saves this map for me. If it wasn't for Shrine, I think Nepal would suck. But yeah.
All right, we got to move on. New Queen Street, another push map, but I kind of like this push map. If I play one push map,
I think this one is like a C tier.
Yeah, and that's saying something because it's the best push map.
Yeah.
I think Esperance is better personally, but we'll get there, I guess.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. It's like a C tier.
I don't know about that.
Map.
we'll get to that. Wow, saving some time. We all agree.
Yeah,
we gotta get
all
right.
Yep.
I'd move it over Junkertown, but that's
this is where we're gonna have a big disagreement because I am a Numbani fan. I am a fan of Numbani, and I know this is not a beloved map. So I like Numbani, but if it's in the game,
I don't know where I'd put it.
Yeah, it is. It's
Did we play this pro yet? I feel like this hasn't been in rotation yet.
We haven't played this in so long. We played in the World Cup a bit, but in the Overwatch League, I don't think so.
It's not been in Overwatch League rotation, no.
No, I actually really like Numbani, but people hate it.
It's an okay map. It depends on what you play. I think it's like such a... You play support on fucking attack, feels terrible. You play support on defense, feels pretty good. I think it's a very mid map.
We addressed the fact that A point, this is the only A point, and I think any of the hybrid escorts, which is super favorable for the defense based on respawn distance. And that's mostly because like 60 to 70% of A point is completely worthless. The first area out of A on Numbani, everyone runs past, nothing happens there. A point doesn't even exist until you get to either of the chokes or like moving up the stairs in the high ground.
It is like A point, crazy actually that you mentioned that, because there's I'm thinking of like every other map like hybrid that requires you to fight near the point. This is the only one where 80% of the map just means fuck all. It does feel like the way they designed the map was for you to fight near the bus to start off with, or like further up because of the amount of health packs and other rooms and like a high ground and shit like that. And it's like, that's just not how the map works.
So this is what I'm saying. Like the body's design is like so much of these, like A point, most of it's useless. I think Numbani C is one of the worst as well because it's like this one.
Numbani C does suck. Numbani C is really bad. Yes, I agree.
You have literal trees blocking LOS and stuff like that, and you can't even, you know, like.
Yeah, I think Numbani C is actually a terrible last.
There are some options. You know, you can go high ground, you can flank around left.
I just have so many good memories. I really like A point. No one likes A point, but I love the A point just because
I love the Tor meta times. The main support Tor
times. I like A as well. And also the setting up really good satisfactory dives to like lock off and like force the high ground off, force people off the high ground. It's flowchart Overwatch. It's like, okay,
playing Winston
we're gonna
on the biomes.
Dive. Okay, we're gonna force the supports off the high ground. Oh, they're committing to the fight, so then we're gonna commit here. Like it's really flowchart Overwatch on A, but something about it is just satisfying to me. But it really is not. It should not be ranked highly. It honestly, you could make the argument that Numbani should be like a C tier map, which I think you currently have.
My only complaint with Numbani as a tank player, especially as a Winston player, my full like Spilo remove the glass rant, just like remove the stop signs, remove the signs in the middle of the street that like don't add anything to the map, and they're just like they're in the way. So I'm trying to leap into the fight and like I just bounce my head into a stop sign and I just get bounced and then I'm dead because I'm just in the middle of the point. It's the worst feeling ever. I hate the signs on this map. Remove the signs. Remove the signs.
It is crazy that exists because like that sign you're talking about, the one like when you come up the choke near the bus, it doesn't do shit to the sightlines. Like it doesn't exist really. It's just there to dominate Winston players. Like that's it. It doesn't block Widow sightline. It doesn't block turret sightline, Ana sightline, or anything like that. It does fuck all except for own Winston players. Like
I'm tracking ultimates and tracking compositions, just like where should we go, dive timing everything, and it's just like, oh, stop sign. You forgot about the stop sign. You're dead. Yep, the dive has failed. You lost. Sorry. Solomon did a poll in chat. Thoughts on Numbani? Meh, 43%. Hate it.
It's mid
something percent, and love it 25%. So a lot of meh here, but I think Topo C is kind of alright. Yeah.
Mid as fuck.
All right, moving on then. Oasis University. Let the takes flow.
Holy dog shit map. Wow. City Center is also arse because that map you can infinitely stall it, and it just adds to the problem with control as a game mode.
Other than
I think City Center is really, really bad. I do not like City
Center. Is it just for the stalling? Because if it wasn't for the stalling, I think the geometry is
I think if it wasn't for that's the thing. The stalling makes it so bad because that central point geometry of it. But I have also never been a gigantic fan of either of University.
I do know,
but
yeah, I don't like University either.
I've never been a huge fan of University either, just because of the way that like the way you can fight the choke so easily, and then you get funneled. It's another map where you get funneled into the lanes often. You get funneled a lot into the lanes. But I will say it's been happening with with one less tank and the option to have, especially in the current meta, where like there's been some options to kind of like funnel out at the point and then take fights there as you take the fights on the point. So because like the low ground, that underground, useless part of the map, literally irrelevant. Nothing ever really happens there except for maybe you're taking a forward hold and there's some fight on the stairs. The sides are kind of fun, but like oftentimes, unless you're playing a rush comp, it's not really like, you don't ever really fight there outside of the first fight. You kind of just like soft dive it, you know? There's no fights that occur. Almost all the fighting takes place around like the choke or like that left mini. You know, like you don't really see as much fun, and then on the point itself, you don't really see much take place everywhere else. But I don't know. I could see Oasis being like it has been iconic. There's been a lot of iconic games on Oasis where a lot of it's been like they've used it to its like fullest extent.
There's been some iconic matches on Oasis.
I feel like it maybe earns a B tier.
I think top of C actually.
Yes.
Top of C.
Top of C feels fair. I think Gardens is the best sub map on this one for sure.
Gardens is kind of unique. I wouldn't say it's fun, but it's unique, and I kind of
better than the other two.
I get it.
I think City Center would be fine if it wasn't for the stalling part, personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I really like the circular kind of point. I actually think City Center is like fun in that regard, but the stalling does kind of suck. Yeah. All right, Paraíso. New map in Overwatch 2.
I think this is a C. Can we put more in C?
I mean, like this one is, I don't like Paraíso for a lot of different reasons. I think
it's
like,
mid.
I think it's like I don't like the first.
Yeah.
I don't like the first at all. I don't really like the last. And the B point is...
It's dog shit, man. It's D.
It just feels bad. The B point feels kind of bad to play often.
Jaws is going
I think maybe,
D.
Honestly, I could see a D. I could see a D. I don't think I ever would enjoy to play Pariso.
Actually, I lean D as well. And the reason why is because you guys remember early Pariso strategy is like the defense just holds on the high ground and the attack can do nothing about it except try and challenge that bridge and walk under it and just completely dog shit. B, I dislike B for very similar reasons. I don't really like King's Row B. It's just way too close quarter, way too narrow, way too choky. And then I actually think C is
B just ruins it completely.
I think C is one of the better point on this map.
Yeah, I kind of like C. Yeah,
because C opens up a little bit more and it's a little bit more interesting.
It's like an interesting Dorado point C.
Or yeah, it's like a mini Dorado point C, and then that's why it's an interesting point. But the first 2 points of this map ruin it for me.
Yeah, I gotta say I wish they'd just make a few changes. Like they'd alter how point A plays a little bit. They'd change a little how point B plays. I think this map has potential. Aesthetically, amazing map. I think it looks great. It's really fun. I kind of want to enjoy this map. I just plays a little bit off. Like it just plays a little dishonest. And I wish they just make like 2 or 3 changes to the map design to improve how it plays, make point A open up a bit more and make it more about like, you know, the open sightline, stuff like that. I think it has potential. I think Pariso has potential to be a good map. So.
Eat it. It's
who the fuck put Dorado in S tier? I did, Nevs. I put Dorado in S tier. It's the best map in the game. Get the fuck out of here. Otherwise I'll ban you in chat.
Dorado is a great map. It really is a great map.
Get out of here. How dare you.
Anyway. Is that Rialto?
This one I feel like
it's
Rialto is going to be divisive. I feel because
I think we all dislike it, right?
Holy mother of God! After you cap A, good fucking luck storming the beaches of goddamn Normandy. There is no shot that you pass that if they have a good hit scan.
Even A sucks until it goes to the open. For like the first 30 to 40% of A, where you just have to go through this one massive choke until you get into the open. That part sucks. Once A opens up the floor,
I think Rialto's a solid D, honestly.
What?
I actually think Rialto is one of the worst designed maps in the game. What? I think Rialto is like I don't think there's anything super fun. Like when I look at these maps, I would rather play all the maps that are currently above D tier. I'd rather play over Rialto because Rialto, the first point like I was talking about, it's so one-dimensional. You have to, because also the map starts with 2 bridges with environmental factors on either side you must cross, and then if you want to flank, another long flank with a huge environmental hazard. And then on top of that, like, and that's if you're going to flank at all. And then you have to go up into the room. You have to fight for the room. There's one little choke you have to get through. Oh, we're zooming out. Oh, divas are zooming. Okay, divas are poking. Oh, hopefully we can get a sleeper and anti on a diva so we can fucking get out. And then, like, if not, and then slowly you get out. And then you're still you have to deal with the high ground, take this long fight to the courtyard. And then you get to the goddamn motherfucking choke. Where you're sitting there, that terrible choke. You have to, like, and then if you lose the fight there, you're coming across the Bridge of Doom. That bridge is worse than Eichenwald 2nd. The Rialto bridge is so much worse than Eichenwald 2nd.
Terrible.
Like Rialto, the first half of the map is literally cock stomping. It is so obnoxious to play. I think Rialto is like a D tier map.
The only thing I'll buy with this is the point 8 choke. The point 8 choke sucks, and if you get stuck in that choke, retake it.
No, the bridge is
one of the worst things ever.
It's like Mario Bros. You just gotta Goomba stomp the fucking bridge. You just get over it. It's like it's an environmental thing.
Your only chance of having fun is clearing it in a snowball fight. That is not a good map design.
It's so good because the enemy can play Widowmaker, but it's not like oppressive high ground where you're just like, oh, I need to get
it's not impressive high ground. What are you saying? What are you saying? It's not impressive high ground, Johnny.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Grandmaster 5 gameplay talking.
This map is so much fun. I love what I choose to
It's 100% as bad as Eichenwald. It's as bad as Gibraltar. It is literally both. It is worse. It is worse than those points.
Have one damage player go Widow or Hanzo and just like bait out the opponent. Make sure the opponent can't peek as much. You just pick something to go. No, honestly, point B is so unique. It's so much fun. Point C, honestly, is some bad chokes on point C.
Who's replaced Johnny?
Point A is good. I like point A. The only bad thing is the choke. The choke is bad on point A, but it's such a fun point A. Like you can flank around, get into the backline off the defense. Honestly, aesthetics are great. You got water, you got boats, you can jump on, you can RP play on the boats. It's amazing. It's so good.
Bro is talking about playing RP in the fucking Tinder Watch servers.
It's either gonna be. It's gotta be.
I'm starting a poll.
I can accept C, but I think it's a D personally. I can
lean D now as well. I think I lean D as well.
I think the first half of the map is so irredeemable that
even the
it's
last half though, Connor. Even the second half, the final point on Rialto, when you go through the choke to actually cap, is bad for all the reasons. I don't like the final cap on Hollywood C as well, but even worse. At least I think Hollywood C is a little bit redeemable for the first part. I don't even like the first part of the last point on C for Rialto. There's a reason, like, dude, teams don't finish this map. This is one of the most notorious maps on not going to time bank because no one can finish this map.
Good. You don't have to finish every fucking map. It's not like, you feel good about yourself.
But it shouldn't
feel good about yourself. You finish with 2 minutes in tie bank. You know, it's not like.
What are you arguing? That like the Overwatch fan base is like, yeah, they're too busy getting participation trophies. They should
exactly.
Not everyone has to finish the map. Like this is the only second point in the game that to me feels on par as bad as Gibraltar second this time. It is literally the only, and Gibraltar second is so bad that it is immortalized how bad of a second point it is. That like this, this is like, it has to be like a D tier map.
I would 100% play Rialto over Junkertown. 100%. Even Gibraltar. I'd probably want to play Rialto over even over Circuit. Honestly, like below Numbani, in my opinion. In C, below Numbani.
No, I just don't see it. I think also.
Would you rather play Circuit Real over Rialto? No, you're joking.
I don't think I'd rather. I don't honestly. I don't. The thing I have about Circuit Real though is that I think there's a lot more room for the other team to make a mistake as well. You know, there's a lot more room. While Rialto, I think there's so much geometry to work around to hide behind. Though I say that, and I also think about like the defense for second point. Like honestly, this just makes me. I mean, I think realistically, Rialto should just go to D.
Yeah.
No.
Circuit.
Circuit to D
down.
Yeah, Circuit to D as well.
Dogs.
I think actually you've convinced me because when you think about it, if I do you have to play Circuit Rialto would be like, okay, I'm just gonna log off.
I'd rather play Rialto over. I'd rather play Rialto over Junkertown and Gib. Absolutely.
No.
Yeah.
No, not Gibraltar.
No, I'd rather play Junkertown.
Queue into Gibraltar. Oh, I guess I have to play the high ground with Monkey, leap up and down.
No, because like, first point is actually pretty. I like first point. First point's great.
Oh, I can't wait to attack point A Gibraltar versus a good Widow Mercy. Like it's so much fun. Oh, I just love pushing the payload under point A.
Rialto B. Like the fucking Widow or the Ash sits on the fucking high ground, gets blue beamed by the E data.
No man, I go Sigma. There's no high ground requirement. I go Sigma. I just push the shield in the Widow's face, and then I absorb some damage. My team crosses the bridge.
What happens when just literally a single person goes around the shield or like peeks around the shield pixel and they just die? They just die.
They push up too far.
It was designed for defense. If I didn't know any better, there were German World War I trench engineers had built that point. They cleared out everything around it so you could not assault without being gassed down because there is no cover to be found. There's environmental hazards too, so you can be booped. No fucking way. No fucking way. Rialto should both be in D. They should both be in D.
We've all said D, but Johnny's trying to make the C happen. He's really going for it.
It's C.
It's D.
It's C.
It's C. It's so D. It's so D.
C.
It's so D. It's so we need to move on. We need to move on from this. It's D.
All right, I'm making a poll for C or D. I'm making a poll for
You've
C or D.
already made the poll.
I'm making a second poll. I'm making a second poll.
Voted.
All right, move on while the poll is happening. Route 66. I hate Route 66. This map is terrible, awful. I hate this map so much. D. Route in D right now. Every point sucks ass. Aesthetically awful map. Freaking gas station. The high ground is dumb.
Here's the problem here. I think the problem here is that Johnny was a Reinhardt player, and like all the maps that were not. This is what I'm getting here. I'm getting a lot of Reinhardt bias.
No, what? I literally said Dorado is the best map in the game, and like, how many Reinhardt players do you see on Dorado these days?
Yeah, but Dorado's also an OG map, and you know so it's a map that you view more favorably.
Oh, I love sitting on the court in Hollywood with Ryan. Yeah. That really gets me going. That's so much fun seeing my team play high ground and me rolling on court.
I don't think Root is nearly as bad as a Circuit.
I want to hear why you think it's bad. What's bad about Root?
Every point sucks ass. The choke on A, and it's like the gas station is a dumb high ground. It's a dumb high ground. Your option is to like jump on top of the payload and jump from the payload to the high ground if you're playing Rush. Playing Sigma comps, you just like, oh, let's push the payload and wait for the opponents to engage exactly the way they want to play around us. Point B, the point B choke sucks ass. Oh, you want to 5-stack into the dumb cave? When you try to finish point B, people just storm out of the cave.
Point B, the first
point C sucks. Point C sucks too. It's just every point sucks ass.
I don't think point C is nearly as bad as point
also
B.
dirt.
Point B,
dirt aesthetic.
Also,
dirt aesthetic.
The second half of fighting on Root, like once you get past the initial choke and you push the cart far enough, the second half of Root I like a lot more than the first half. Like for B, I also think I think the gas station is actually pretty decent because it's one of the only places where it's like, oh yeah, it's a brutal choke, but also it's relatively easy for you to soft dive a contest, and you can get underneath it and play a mega.
Yes,
and you're like right on top.
Also, play the mega.
You can play all around it as well. Like I agree, the opening choker route is kind of rough, but I do also appreciate that you can actually play there. Like a lot of maps, you would just skip that area, and I think for most of Overwatch's history, you did skip that area. But now there are metas where you can actually play the opening train areas around the first area, and I think that's respectable. Once you exit the choke, A point really opens up. You can flank all the way around the gas station. Both teams can actually play the gas station, attack and defend. And it's just yeah, I like the high ground, low ground play there, and I do actually like that on B as well. The opening choke of B and the mines I don't like, but the fact that you can play multi-level on B, like the actual roof, the hard top roof of B is playable is really cool. And it's a open enough map that offers some good flanking areas, good sight lines. I'm not a huge fan of C, but I think C is acceptable on this map.
It is mid as fuck. C tier, 100%. It's not D. I'd rather play Root than any of those maps in D.
Honestly, I'd probably put Root on the top of C.
Yes, top of
We're
C.
gonna put it in
I
C.
can agree with that. Actually,
I'm down for that.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah,
I'm very much down for that.
All right, I'll agree with that because the people voted C for Rialto, so we're putting Rialto in C. So there we go. Yep, move it up. Yep, there you go. Yep. We are a community podcast, so
no,
there
but
you
there
go.
was
Thank
a first poll that was
moving
C
on,
or
moving
D.
on, moving on. Volskaya, literally removed. All right, here we go. Here we go. Esperanza.
This is like
this map is dumb.
Like this
The high ground is dumb.
There's no way it should be more than a C in my opinion.
Yes, agreed.
I think
it's a C tier map. It's a C tier map.
Apparently, AVRL likes it.
No, I don't. I don't like any push. No, I don't like any push map. I think all push maps are bad. First and foremost, but all the push maps
over checkpoint, it is dog shit. How they thought that was a good idea is beyond me.
This is out of the 3 push maps. I think this is the one I dislike the least, and thereby by default the one I like the most by default. Because you can actually like the point capture on this is I actually like that it's faster, that you can get to the points earlier and we can just remove that from the game versus Colosseo where like it feels impossible to cap. And you know it's not a completely flat one-dimensional map like New Queen Street, where it's just you can play through some of the windows, but otherwise the entire map is flat, right? Esperanza has way more going for it in terms of the map geometry.
Wait, the map is flat, bro. It has the dumbest high ground in the game.
Esperanza. I don't think it's an amazing high ground, but it has something you can play on. It's not New Queen Street where the whole...
Are you thinking of the wrong map?
Yep. Talking to me or Johnny?
You, because it has like one of the highest high grounds.
The wall high grounds, on the sides, you know? Like when you cap and you stand on the high ground above the point.
Like literally one of the highest high grounds in the game.
It's dumb.
Google the map. Because
I mean, it's not good. I'm not saying it's good, but like I prefer a map not to just be completely flat either. So I'm not saying I don't like any push map, but of the push maps, I think this is the least.
The chat is saying B, so I'm not gonna do a poll this time around because they're wrong.
B? No, not
it's
Johnny.
B.
Johnny only does a poll when he's looking for the.
Yeah,
it's
also
not
Johnny
B,
running
sorry.
the polls is definitely authoritarian as fuck. I will agree.
Yeah.
That's authoritarian as fuck. But like,
What? It is democracy. What do you mean?
When I think of push maps that I've at least enjoyed watching, though, I honestly have Esperanza up there with like Colosseo in terms of like I don't think it's as bad as Colosseo, but in terms of push maps when I'm watching, I don't enjoy watching the fights. I don't enjoy watching the Esperanza fights a lot of times outside of like the midpoint, because that area going from like the starting location to the bot to leading to second choke point, like that fighting area right there, I hate it. I hate that area from that high ground. I don't enjoy watching a lot. Like, it just feels unfun to watch with like this, you know, people running out of the choke, trying to get up on the high ground, like, oh, trying to push the bot back through the choke point. Like, there's a lot of very unfun portions, I think, where like I don't really get to see a lot of variety in how that point is approached, how that particular area of the map is approached. So to me, that but Call of Duty has more of those, and also more less interesting points. But like, I'm okay to keep Esperanza in C, because I think that's fair enough to it, because it's got other good moments to it. So I think it should be in the C. I don't think it should be nearly in the same tier.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. We got 2 more maps.
I would have had it above New Queen Street, but that's just me.
Yeah. I'm fine with this. Got 2 more maps here. The 2 most recent maps of the game.
Shambali might be a solid D.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? It's not.
Shambali second is actually
second
points are kind of ass, to be honest.
The amount of times you don't even see anything happen in the caves until it goes in the open. The B just doesn't even exist on this map.
Yeah. Second is unfun. Also, last, another brutal choke, and then once you get past the brutal choke, then you have to get to the long ass sideline portion of the map, which is like whatever. And then first is probably the best portion of it by far. First has some okay moments, but like I think B is so bad that it's almost irredeemable.
I think A is really interesting, but what I don't like is how long I haven't measured this, but it feels like A is unreasonably long for an A point, and then B is unreasonably short for a B point. I don't know if anyone else feels that on this map.
I think it's just because B, like, there's like, you go through the whole cave in like a 2-3 seconds until you reach that exit, right? The cave exit, essentially.
So that's what I'm saying. It's super short. Yeah. It's extremely short. Like other B points, B is meant to be the highlight of these maps. I feel like most maps, I enjoy B point the most. But here, Shambali B just straight up doesn't exist. It's so short. I think the way you fix this map is like the A point, you move it down the ramp. So you know that final ramp before you go up to the left, you just move to the bottom of that ramp. I think if the A point was there instead, it'd be a better map in my opinion. That's just my opinion though. A point feels too long, but A point is otherwise reasonably well designed. You can play spawn holding compositions. You can play the opening high ground on the long sightline. That long sightline is a little bit annoying, but there's at least reasonable flanks to play around it. And then the gameplay up the ramp for Shambali A is decent. I like that, but the rest of the map after A goes downhill really quick.
Yeah.
That leaves one map left.
One map left. All right. Oh boy. Oh boy. I gotta tell you guys. Antarctic Peninsula, worst aesthetics in the game. This map gives me seasonal depression, like I'm back in Sweden. Bro. I need light therapy every time I queue into this dumb map, dude. We're like the darkest, bluest place on earth. It's just terrible. Like, we already had like the funny arcade Antarctic map. Why did we have to go back and make this stupid match? Dumb aesthetic. I can't wait for them to like introduce like alternate Antarctic Peninsula when we're like in a desert or something. Like, instead of changing the weather, just change the entire aesthetic. Dude, it's such a dumb. I hate how this map looks.
Global warming. Melt the Antarctic Peninsula ice caps.
Dude, fuck it. If it meant we got rid of this map, fuck it. I might be down.
No, this map is good. This map is actually decent.
Despite the only thing this map has like penguins.
It also has the cock high ground. It has the penis high ground.
It doesn't help it. It doesn't help it.
It does have penis high ground, which is
I think Antarctic Peninsula is like the best new map they've added. Personally,
really,
I think it's the best new map they've added. I actually really like it,
but it's up there.
I like the flow of the map the majority of the time. I enjoy the flow of the map. I like almost all the points on it. None of the points feel particularly oppressive to hold or fight.
I can't do this.
I actually like every bit of it, man. Dude, Mr. Rialto should be like A tier over here. Talking my opinion. This guy doesn't. He's like, yeah, the bridge is great. I love the bridge. I love the bridge on Rialto. Like, honestly, we should just have a mute button. We should have a mute button for Johnny's map opinion after that one.
I think Labs is not my favorite on this Antarctic map. Sublevel is really good. Sublevel is the strongest. Usually, I don't like the indoor map of the 3 rounds of a control, but the indoor one of this is genuinely good. And I think it's mostly because of the fact that the high ground, low ground play. Is that what you guys are calling the cock on the point? On sublevel?
The indoor map has the cock high ground.
That actually makes the map good. I think that makes the map really good.
Yeah, it adds a level of interest to it because it adds multiple, and also you can have like an easier spot to dive, and like you have like people that like use cycle contest, you can play around it, like.
reason I don't like labs, the really open one, not the one on the ship. Labs is like you have that one little bit of high ground on the coast side, and then the rest of the point is like super flat except for this one round. I don't know, it just doesn't feel like a very interestingly designed point. And the outsides of the point don't see a lot of play either, so it's not like those are redeeming factors. The only thing that's kind of good about labs is kind of like the coast side where the health pack is in that general high ground. But that's such a tiny part of the map.
Yeah.
And then icebreaker's fine. I think icebreaker's all right.
Yeah, I think this map should be at least a solid B, if not an A.
Yes, I agree.
Holy.
100% B.
I think
100%.
I would rather take this map over. I might even take it over Busan.
But I think this does feel the reason why this is probably the best new map is because we don't like any of the pushes, don't like Circuit, don't like Paraíso, don't like Shambali. So by default, it's the best new map.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I personally like the flow of this map more than Busan. Myself, I don't like Busan's flow as much, but I think it's
it's better than Busan.
I think I'm okay. I would be okay to put it, but I think it definitely goes above Blizzard World, though. I think it goes above Blizzard World.
Yeah. Oh, I'm down. That's good opinion.
Johnny?
Good opinion moment.
Johnny doesn't want to put it any higher than
Johnny
it
does
is.
I disagree so much that like there's no point in me having an opinion on this map.
Okay,
I really
that's good.
don't.
That's good. That's
good.
Best,
Thank
we're
God.
way over
I-
time.
He has no opinions.
Yeah.
Should I ask why he dislikes it or?
I'm afraid.
Oh no, he's already said
hated
he doesn't like the
aesthetics.
aesthetics and he doesn't like the
Doesn't like
penguins.
the
Okay,
aesthetics.
understood.
Yeah,
Understood.
yeah. It gives me seasonal depression. This map.
Anything
I'm
about the
sorry.
gameplay though? What about the gameplay? You didn't talk about the gameplay.
I just hate all the chokes on like on all of these maps. Like I just like I feel like this map feels so restricted. The stage needs
More than we also.
Yeah, actually, yeah, because it plays kind of tight. If you consider all the rounds, like they're kind of like sort of how AVRL described King's Row, where there's like tight corridors and like these kind of tight chokes you have to like battle through, and like I just feel the same thing on like every round on this map, except the wider what's the wider stage called? Oh my god, I should know this. I should really know this.
It's labs, icebreaker, and sub-level.
Yeah, sub-level is the penis map, right? And labs is the outdoors one where like they play the Farah comps, Twisted Minds play Farah or whatever. And then icebreaker. So yeah, icebreaker, I mean, it's kind of all right, but it's still just like a dumb standoffish kind of like point where like you probably just put like a hit scan and your backline outside the point. I think labs, the chokes on labs is just like stupid. You just like play Junker Queen or Doom and you just like hold the chokes. It feels super restrictive. And on the penis sub-level map, it's just like, hey, let's jump to the high ground to this very small choke and try to contest the enemy team. Or like, let's just contest the point and try to force them down. I don't know. It's so close and narrow. It's just, I just hate all the points. They're all bad.
It inspires a lot of fighting, though, unlike a lot of other controls.
A lot of losing fighting because the choke sucks ass.
I would
like anytime I win a fight on these points, like I don't feel good about myself.
I don't even
Really?
think sub-level's not even that choky. I think you're maybe overstating how choky it is. Like sub-level
I
feels
don't
very fair to me with how
I mean,
many
maybe if you play
different angles
support,
agree.
like if you play support, you can sit on the stairs and kind of like support your team. As a tank, it just sucks ass.
Oh, I mean, look, this tier list fucking sucks. Everybody knows it.
No,
we know
no,
it. Everybody is going to agree in chat.
Let's show it off.
Sucks.
Show it off, Solomon. Show it off. There it is, the tier list. Ready to post. Spread it on social media. It got 31 poop emojis.
Don't
There
screenshot.
it
Where's
is.
Connor?
There
There's no
it
Connor.
is.
There's no Connor in the screenshot.
Oh, we gotta wait for Connor. We gotta wait for Connor for the guarantee, and then we can get the guarantee
Everybody's
going.
going to fucking disagree.
Yeah, is this better? Yeah, he left. He left in anger.
God.
Here we go.
He's back.
There he is. He's back.
Do a
Welcome
pog
back.
face. Do the pog face for the photo.
Do the pog face. There it is. There's the tier list. There's the tier list. There we go.
There we go.
Amazing. I love
There we
it.
go.
There's the tier list, everybody.
We did
I hope you
it.
enjoyed that. We went so much over.
We went way over.
over.
Dude, our episode
It
is
was worth
fucked over on this
Yeah,
one.
it
But like,
was worth it.
we're
We
gonna
might
have to
we're gonna have to zoom, and we might have to kick back a little bit on the predictions. It's fine though. I'll speed us through the next couple of segments here. It was a bit weird week because obviously, we had Custa's wedding on Sunday, so Kenobi and Rich Rad took over the studio instead with some of the contenders casters and got to do. There we go! Yay, Custa! It's woo!
Yay!
Hell yeah, poggers! It was a beautiful wedding. It was a great wedding. The ceremony was beautiful. It was lovely. The reception was great as well. It was like by the ocean, so like we're having cocktails just like by the ocean. And then people started dancing, and then my knee got fucked, so I had to go home. So it was a great time. People got drunk apparently.
You got your knee fucked again?
No, it just hurt. Knee? Residual pain. Pain.
Same knee.
It's fine. But it was a great wedding, so great job, Custa. But yeah, taking a look at the matches, I think we're just quickly gonna skim through some of the past matches that happened this week, and then we can talk more about what's coming up next week. But taking a look at the past matches, the best match, I don't want to say the best because there were a couple of good. But the best match in the West region was probably the Houston Outlaws Florida Mayhem match that went all the way. A lot of people said Houston Outlaws are the clear favorite. Florida Mayhem doesn't stand a chance. But Florida Mayhem, they were up 2-1 at one point with a really good push attack as well. How do you feel about Florida Mayhem after this match? How do you feel about Houston? Just general thoughts on Houston versus Florida here.
They're good as hell.
Good as hell,
man.
This has got to put Florida right up, right?
And they almost would have made Korea because of this, right? So,
if they had won this, they were locked in.
Yeah. So, it was stakes on the line.
Yeah, very big stakes. It is the one match, too, that I didn't get to watch in full the day it happened, too, which is so unfortunate. Because I was at home, and I was like, I'll do the later matches, and then I missed this one. But, like, I went back and saw it, and, like, I mean, this match was nuts. I also think that, like, the fact that Houston themselves let Merritt go is so funny.
That is true.
When Merritt was like such a gigantic difference maker for Florida throughout all the season and during this match, and even still, like the Florida DPS, like I think this is really just a coming of age for like how good Checkmate really is and has been, and just hasn't got the chance to too. Like the continuously for Mayhem, I think it's like a big thing of like just showing how stacked firepower wise this team really is comparatively to like the top rosters. Everyone's always like, oh, but like they have Pelican and they have there's all these names, and like a lot of times like the Mayhem DPS line sometimes falls by that wayside when really Checkmate Barrett is a really insanely top tier DPS line. Yep.
I think,
and that's not the best part about the battle, but they're good.
Sanctum was the best map, like for sure. The crazy stall on that map, it was incredible. Like incredible. There were points where you're like, okay, Outlaws win this, and then fucking Mayhem win this. I tweeted about that game because I just thought it was the best control point ever played. Like, not for like, oh, so many fucking, it was for grand finals kind of thing. Like, whoa, no way. But it was like just for the sheer amount of willpower from both teams and like individual players making fucking giant plays. It was incredible, bro. Like, easily the best control. I know a lot of people were like, hey, I don't know about that. Like, look at these fucking Overwatch 1 games from like yonks ago. But recent memory, at least, like, easily the best control game we've ever fucking had. Like, it was ridiculous. And if they just, dude, if this is what Midseason Madness is shaping up to be, it's gonna be, it's just gonna be insane. Like, I think Mayhem, I don't think they punched up necessarily, just going on how good they actually are as a team. But like, it showed that, we've been talking about Atlanta Rain Outlaws being rank 1 and rank 2. Mayhem are fucking up there as well now. There's no like tier break anymore. This team is just cracked.
They're good.
I've really got any.
Yeah, I think this really, I probably underrated Florida Mayhem just based on name value. Kind of like what Connor's saying, right? Like, maybe just not respecting the same name value, because you compare it to Houston Outlaws, you compare it to Atlanta Rain. It's like, man, even Boston Uprising, even though we knew maybe there could be some drama behind the scenes, but on name value alone, you respect that roster. I think after this and after a lot of Florida's performances, like this team shoots right up the top of the rankings, next to the Houstons and Atlantas and Merritt and Checkmate, especially Checkmate. I
mean, also Mayhem, this team, I
really
think they got built a lot of times. They got like essentially got two huge names for kind of like for free with like Merritt and then Showwrong, right? Like the fact that Defiant, like not for free, for free. Well, I don't know exactly. I can't remember if there was a buyout paid for. I don't think there was a buyout paid for Showwrong. Maybe I can't remember. That's an Albert question, but like the point being is more so like the fact that they were able to pick up those two players became free agents. And Sherwong to me is like someone I fucking pogged out of my gourd for when he entered the league. And Defiant, I thought he was really good, but he was like a pretty inconsistent team. And I'm seeing it now with the addition with him being next to a really solid, like across the board, a very solid player, RuPaul. Sherwong is a very flexible player. You feel he's confident on like every hero. He's got he's kind of like the new breed of like those Korean contenders support players where they came in and like a lot of them, they're actually their best hero. A lot of times it almost feels like Brigitte because their Brig impact is so incredibly huge, kind of like Chio on Brig and stuff like that. Like they have really huge Brigitte value. Yeah. And also you can feel confident that Troan can play not just all the main support he has, but you could even feel confident in him playing like if he needs to play some double flex comps, like if he has to play like an Ana or something, he can do it. He can pull out like an Ana and like let RuPaul play like a Xin or a BAP or something, and like they had those options.
By the way, this is a guy that last year coming in as a rookie, he was probably up there next to the Vindame Chios of in terms of like this is a really good main support coming out of Contenders career. That was a crazy year by the way last year for main support rookies coming in. But Chorong, I don't think we got to see a little bit of that teased on Toronto, but we never really got to see the real Chorong. I think this is the year for Chorong to kind of live up to those expectations.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah. I think historically, like if you want to go like full, like I don't even know at this point. Solomon, is your mic open by the way?
Yeah, Solomon, I'm pretty sure I'm hearing like insane sounds.
It was on the pod. I don't know if it was on the pod.
I couldn't tell. I was looking, is anyone yawning? But it was actually just Solomon.
I didn't know if it was on the pod or just to us as well. So it's just to us. So the viewers they like the critical information. But yeah, I think this was such an interesting game. Like it ended as well because Florida Mayhem made like crucial compositional mistakes towards the end. So if you ever like need to show someone what like composure means in like a very close series with like stakes on the line, I think Florida Mayhem lacks some composure in this series. And I think it's going to be like a huge learning moment for them as well as players, because like a lot of the players on Florida Mayhem, they're inexperienced or like they haven't been in these like big playoff series with like crucial moments, stuff like that. But going back even to New Queen Street when Florida had a huge lead and then someone swaps over to the Junker Queen and they just kind of get snowballed by like how bad that pick is. Like they should have just played Winston from the start. The way they picked Farah Mercy composition on Village here on Nepal and just like, guys, we at this point we've kind of learned that Farah Mercy just ain't it. And I think it was a mistake to go to Farah Mercy. And on the opposite side, Houston Outlaws playing Echo here, like just Houston Outlaws were so smart, and I think they were so clutch in the end. They almost clutched up Sanctum because Fearless is just a freak of nature. You could really tell the difference, I think, in experience and composure. Like, just Houston Outlaws roster, like, these players have been in big tournament matches before, and, like, they're clutch at this point. Like, they have that experience. So I think it's going to be a huge learning series for Florida Mayhem, and, like, a stepping stone for a lot of these players as they get better in their careers and as they will, compete in tournaments and like mid-season madness, knockouts, what have you. So from that standpoint, just like the intangibles, I think that it was a really interesting series in that regard as well. So just a fantastic series, but you can have it. Any final stuff before we move on?
Is Gumbo finally going to get his nod?
Oh, yeah.
Potential.
I gave him a nod last year. The Christopher train was too strong.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
Will this be the year that Gumba gets his name, his big bushy beard, and his name goes up into the? You guys
gotta push him on socials more. My favorite thread was like, I think the Mayhem coaches are underrated, and he's like, but I don't know who they are, but I think they're really good and underrated.
I don't know who they are.
I don't know who the Mayhem coaches are, but they're really good.
Yeah, that's true. That could be that. That's actually a fair point. That is a very fair point, actually. Yeah. That's something. That is. You know what, Avril? You got a good idea there.
Before we move on, I do want to give you the chance as well, Avril. I think that the showdown between Guangzhou Charge and Hangzhou Spark was probably the best, match of the week. It was a reverse sweep by the Hangzhou Spark, and it seems like the comp has kind of like settled down to this Hanzo Tracer. It was just like a really thrilling back and forth. So yeah.
Well, any reverse sweep, I think, is very exciting because it's
sure.
It's a difficult thing to do, but I think Verse is the number one seed in particular, and this is where the Hangzhou Spark that we've wanted to see for a while, where the high firepower coming in through from their front line really comes to bear. And Guangzhou, a couple of their issues, I think, really got shown in the light here as well, where you know, they're very exciting to watch mechanically, but beyond that, they're also very one note in that they just play this Winston Hanzo the whole time. They almost exclusively one trigger composition, which is Guangzhou Charge's weakness. And I actually think that if the Charge make the mid-season madness, that'll be probably to their detriment. So they need to think about that a little bit more. This is a team that doesn't really play much else outside of this. And if Jimmy can't pop off on the Hanzo, like if he's getting dove constantly by Shy and Leave, and he can't get the angles and he's under pressure, or if Shy decides to go Hanzo, and Shy's Hanzo was really insane this game as well. Shy got player of the match for that. Then Jimmy's also in a lot of trouble. Choice in one, I think, is easily one of, if not potentially, he's a top tier player in the region currently. He's insane. He's mechanically so insane. He clutched up numerous fights on his own. There was a Colosseo fight that Guangzhou Charge 100% lose, and then Choice One kills 3 on his own, and your jaw just drops at how Choi can do that. Leave did the same thing on Oasis, where Hangzhou lost the fight and Leave just straight up killed 3. So I think both the Tracer players, both the Flex DPS have stepped up massively, and it's you also saw the best of Gushui here as well, where Gushui Winston was on top display once again. Havana was definitely the best map where everyone popped off. Shy and Jimmy had a great Widowmaker battle. They went back and forth. Both players got a lot of picks. Yeah, really good match. I think the Joe Down is now my favorite rivalry in L. So there it is.
Yeah, so I'm curious when you look at these compositions, more like how they were playing on like Colosseo and stuff like that. These pretty like standard compositions. It's curious because it feels like both the regions have kind of like settled when it comes to compositions now. Like obviously we're seeing Ramatra May and like stuff like that, right? On some maps, for example, but it feels like the standard comp, no map design issues, is like Tracer Sombra, or it's like Tracer Hanzo for the most part. How do you feel like Guangzhou and Hangzhou stack up against the West region, like Atlanta, Houston? Like, we're not quite at the mid-season madness yet, but just like looking at the gameplay of these teams, how do you feel like they stack up to the top tier of NA?
Oh, Jake and I had a private debate about this, but
we don't have to go there.
Yeah, we don't. But essentially, I don't know that the top teams in APAC are going to be as good as like Houston, Atlanta currently. I think those would be the best teams, and my position is that like the top of NA in terms of those teams probably clear for now. But I'd be interested to see third, fourth from NA. That could be very interesting.
Hangzhou versus Florida, Gladiator, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the third. I think the top of the number 1, number 2 out of APAC versus number 3, number 4 out of NA could be very interesting. Yeah. The other thing that's interesting is that Atlanta are already in Korea right now, right? So they're already going to be scrimming against APAC as they prepare. And I wonder if some NA strats or like NA vibe sort of leaks over to the APAC teams, given that they'll have access to Atlanta scrimming now. That probably raises the scrim quality a lot as well. Not that the scrim quality was poor, because I think having access to Contenders Korea, and given how close the Contenders Korea teams have been playing the APAC teams, which there's a couple ways you can read into that. On one hand, if you want to be negative, you could say, well, that means the APAC teams suck because they're losing to Contenders teams. Or you could look at that from the other angle and say, the Contenders Korea teams are really fucking good and they're playing the L teams very close, because the Contenders Korea teams are actually very talented. And I think I lean close to that second side, because when you look at O2 Blast, and that O2 versus Infernal game was insane. I know that was a match from like the previous week, but that has got to be one of the best matches of the year. And I highly recommend people to go back and watch the Soul Infernal versus O2 Blast game. It was just such high quality. And it's so high that I think the number 1 and number 2 in the region might be Soul and O2. I actually want those two teams to make it, but only one can.
Seems to be the case.
I think we can maybe skip the power rankings. I don't know. Do you guys want to do the power rankings?
I think I mean, that's going to take two. That's going to take. I mean, if we want to get through the rest of the itinerary without going super over, there's no way we can do the power rankings this week.
Yeah, I also feel like they're kind of like the knockout brackets are more interesting, and just talking about the matches head to head per se is more interesting. I do quickly want to touch on the East bracket before we go to the West bracket, just to like get your 5 cents here, AVRL, because we do have some pivotal matches coming up here, for example, with Hangzhou now qualifying for the last match in Group A, and Seoul Infernal now qualifying for the final in Group B. So Hangzhou Spark, they'll be playing either Guangzhou Charge again in a rematch or Dreamers. Does Dreamers stand a chance here after going 3-2 against Poker Face, or do you expect another showdown to be the final match to determine who gets to go to
Dreamers keep impressing and they keep improving, but I don't know if they're going to be good enough in time for Guangzhou. I think Guangzhou's firepower is just higher, but Dreamers has a shot. You would have probably have power ranked Poker. In fact, Poker Face did beat Dreamers early on the bracket. Poker Face should be the stronger team, but Dreamers are impressive. I think you would still favor the Joe teams over Dreamers for now. But especially on the backline. I think the backline of Guangzhou is just much stronger. Dreamer is a good tank, but I'd take Piggy over Dreamer. Easy Hunt and Spectre are the more impressive parts, but I don't know if I think they're more impressive than Choi Seung-wan and Jimmy, right? Especially Choi right now is on an absolute tear. Like Jimmy still has his high and low moments. He's like a very hot and cold player as he was previously. And if he gets shut down, then, you know, he's not doing a lot. But Choi is always on fire no matter what. That guy's, he just doesn't have a bad game. And I think that's going to be too much for Dreamers to handle.
Yeah, overall the firepower. I mean, Dreamers, they haven't shown enough like to show they're definitely not, because like they beat Pokerface in a very close match after losing to them previously. They haven't shown like a streak of like, oh, we can 100% compete with like a top level team yet. Like they just haven't. There's not really a confidence interval there, like a really high one by any means. So I would definitely take Charge over Dreamers right now.
Yeah.
All right, taking a look at Group B quickly as well. Soul Inferno, they're in the finals after beating Dallas Fuel 3-1. But I feel like Dallas Fuel getting there might be a bit of a... shit, I don't even know what to call it. I mean, they pretty much only had to beat Simprisa Gaming to qualify for the upper bracket final. So now, in the lower bracket, you're going up against O2 Blast. Feel like the O2 Blast are favored in this one, and we're bound to see a rematch of Soul versus O2 Blast again?
I think so. I think given how close... Like, O2 Blast not only played Soul close, they probably could have beaten Soul. They nearly reverse swept Soul. That was on the cards for sure. Whereas Dallas, they had a more competitive game versus Soul than you would have expected Dallas to have from, like, maybe a week before. They don't look like they're on the same tear. Like, O2 and Inferno look like they're on their own tear. Dallas will challenge them. And Dallas probably have had a bit more of a favorable run in the bracket as well, because they got to dodge Panthera, who are much better than Simprisa. When you look at results, right, Panthera demolished Simprisa. It wasn't just a 3-0, it was a 0-point lockout, meaning SPG got no points at all, 0 points on any map. So Panthera are much better than Simprisa. And Dallas Fuel didn't even have to play Panthera because they got knocked out by O2. And O2 are clearly still quite a bit better than Panthera. I think O2 will be better than Dallas Fuel, unfortunately, for the Dallas Fuel side.
If we got a rematch between Soul and O2 Blast, what would you give the percentages?
Man. Yeah, and they probably
50,
will get a
50?
rematch in the final. It feels quite 50-50. I think O2 Blast will be a little bit... They'll come in a little bit stronger this time around, because having lost, by the way, for those that don't know, O2 Blast lost to Soul Infernal was the end of a 31-match win streak.
It was ridiculous.
Matches.
It was like they hadn't lost in like 300 something days, 400 something days, something like that. It's like
Since April last year.
Yeah, there was the number was like literally, it was like 346 days or something, or 344 days.
And Soul Inferno only beat them 3-2, and that's what it took to take down the O2 Blast match win streak. So when I say O2's like an unbelievable team, they really are. They were even better than I thought, because I was like, yeah, but O2, they've changed so much of the roster, they shifted so many players, still good. Opener he's having his renaissance right now. Marvel having a huge renaissance. I thought Marvel was already on the comeback last year with Valiant, but now, like, with this Korean roster behind him, holy shit, Marvel's leveled up. That guy's really fucking good. Like, good enough that it's a travesty, sadly, for players like Flitter to be on tank when players like Marvel exist, right? It's crazy. Yeah, it feels 50-50, man. Soul Inferno are obviously extremely good in their own right, because Fixer's leveled the fuck up. And people were really down on Fixer returning to this roster, but Fixer's gotten much better. Skewed. Now that he's not playing, now that he's not playing the Shadow of Shu, Skewed has been come into his own. Like, he looks insane mechanically. Everything he does, the backline of Soul Inferno is insane. And we thought that was going to be the weak point, right? Because we were thinking, like, Zest M3, okay, that's good. Mag, maybe he's got some potential there. I think everyone thought that Fixer Skewed wouldn't be that good, but Fixer Skewed ended up being a pretty strong point. Mag's having a very good year, and Zest and M3 we already knew was going to be really good. So Soul Infernal don't look like they have any weaknesses right now, and that makes them super scary. That's why I think Soul and O2 might be the top two teams. Like, if we were going to have a 4-team round robin between the two Joe teams, Soul and O2, I think Soul and O2 take that, personally. But just the way the bracket works, they're on the same bracket.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, though, I'm going to say this is going to be crazy, but I might I still believe that Dallas could make the adjustments to potentially beat O2. Do I think it's likely? Probably not. Do I think it's likely? Probably not.
They need a meta. They need a very specific meta to do that.
But, like, so far, I've been like, okay, I don't think Dallas are ever going to beat, like, an Infernal, though. I think Infernal are pretty, like, right now they're pretty much locked. They're pretty locked for, like, the best team in that group. They might be locked for... It could theoretically just be the best team in APAC right now, overall. Like, but, like, I think that, like, they I don't think they'd beat them, but there's a chance. There's a chance they could beat O2, I think. But just because I think Rush has got that magic in him still. But overall, like, the smart play would be to pick O2. Pick O2. But I just believe in Fuel still. I can't doubt Rush that much still. I still can't doubt Rush that much.
Listen, Harbin's going to try his hardest to carry, and I think Harbin has proven to be the best player on this team so far this year. But he's still limited in hero pool because Harbin, when he gets off the off tanks, he doesn't look, his impact goes down quite a lot. And the problem is when you go up against a team like O2 who are so flexible, they have an actual main tank player and an off tank player as well. Harbin probably beats attack in the straight up in terms of comparing off tanks, but I think Marvel, when we get into like a main tank matchup and Harbin has to force the off tanks and he can't match Marvel at all, that's going to be a problem. Edison's having a bit of a rough year so far. Probe has looked really good on the hit scans. Both Knife and Top Dragon from the Flex DPS side of things, super exciting. I think Knife has been like a hidden gem because we all expected Top Dragon to be that guy because he's got the bigger name. But Knife is snuck in under the radar. Like, this guy's been insane as well, the Flex DPS. Super exciting, high impact play, high mechanics as well. And then Opener Irony is just solid. And I think I've seen a lot more out of Opener Irony than I have out of MCD and Bliss. So on a player-to-player level, the only player that is going to be better than the counterpart is Harbin. And I think the rest get cleared by O2, sadly.
Okay. Might be curious to see if we can get our first contenders team qualifying to the mid-season madness in O2 Blast. But, you know, I'd also be happy for Soul Infernal fans if their team qualified. So we'll see. Either way, it's going to be fun to see what two teams qualify for mid-season madness. Moving over to the West bracket, which will be taking place over this weekend. It will just be banger match after banger match with lots on the line here. So it's going to be a jam-packed weekend. Oh, God, we're doing the Preds, right? We'll skim through this. I think the way to do this is we'll do the upper bracket first, because essentially if you're an upper bracket team, you just have to win 2 matches and you will qualify for the mid-season madness. So if we just look at Florida Mayhem versus LA Gliders and then Boston Uprising versus Washington Justice, just your thoughts here, guys.
Mayhem.
Who do we have favored in both of these matches?
Yeah,
Mayhem.
There's no shot you vote Lads over that, right?
Yeah, I mean, especially after that loss, right?
Yeah, there's no way.
What if you're the biggest Kevster fan in the world?
Even I'm struggling with that. So yeah, it's hard for me as a Kevster fan to not favor the Mayhem in this one. But you know, I would love to see the Gladiators there. And then you have the curious case of Boston Uprising versus Washington Justice, who actually played in the qualifiers. Boston 3-0'd Washington Justice, but this is also a Washington Justice team that is like bipolar, and sometimes they show up and dominate teams like the Gladiators, and sometimes they lose against New York Excelsior.
I'm taking Boston still.
Yep.
They are favored,
I think Boston's the easy pick.
Yeah, I also think Justice, the Glads game is confusing because the rumor going through is that right now Glads have been shit in the bed. And like in the practice environment, in the locker room environment and such.
Ooh,
so
Scrimbucks.
Which is weird because like it feels like it should be figured out for them. Like they kind of felt like they were on the up.
Yeah, they looked really good. So like, but either way, even if they weren't on the up, even if I would still take Boston because I think Boston have shown enough to me to where I can feel confident enough to pred them still with the player quality that they have. So
Boston's last week has shown them to. I think if they are coming through from that level again, they'll be the better team.
I think Florida-Boston is actually going to be a very interesting matchup. Like if Boston just played Tracer Sombra at a really high level, I could see Boston beating Florida, to be honest with you. I don't know if they're favored. I think Florida might be favored, but I could definitely see Boston winning here.
I think I favor Florida based on the performance versus Houston. But this should be a much more competitive game than it would have been like 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. Let's see. I think might matter very little, but I think that Florida has the higher seed, so they get first map pick choice, which obviously is very crucial now in knockout brackets as well. First map pick. So, all right, it kind of feels like we're leaning Mayhem here then.
Yeah.
I'm personally think Mayhem's the solid number 3 in the region right now, if not tied for number 2.
Okay. Yeah, especially after their performance against Houston Outlaws. Yeah, for sure. Moving on to the lower bracket, we got Vancouver Titans against the San Francisco Shock. Another very interesting matchup, like on par, like, or not on par, even. Like, I feel like it's kind of evenly matched. I wouldn't favor one team necessarily over the other, to be honest with you, especially after Shock lost 0-3 to Florida and 1-3 to Boston. Like, did it inspire confidence, really?
Yeah, but you're losing to Florida Mayhem. It's like, okay, whatever, right? Like, because Florida, I think at this point they're just gonna roll.
I was hoping they'd stand up to him, Jaws. You know, just at least take a map or so.
I think that word hope has been flung around for a few. I
think that I think this is a Titans win.
This is a toss up. You could call it
a Titans win. I'm not feeling big about Shock.
I think it's valid, but either way, I think it doesn't matter who you pick in this match. I think either pick is like not a hot
They both
take.
lose to Glads, right? Maybe, depending on how.
I actually don't necessarily. If Glads show up with similar performance, I think Titans win against Glads too.
Let's.
Again, it depends how boom Glads are.
Depends. I'm just saying if they show up with the performance they had versus Justice, they lose to Titans. I'm not saying like I'm ignoring the Scrimbucks argument. I'm simply saying if they show up and perform like they did versus Titans, they will lose. Or Justice, they will lose to Titans. In my opinion. So
just quickly taking a step back, I would love to see. I would love it so much to see the LA Gladiators against San Francisco Shock in this elimination match in the lower bracket to qualify for the midseason madness. Just the historian in me, last midseason madness in 2022, these two teams battling in the winner bracket. The San Francisco Shock beating Gladiators 3-2 in the upper bracket in a fantastic match. And then one day turn around, the teams sitting opposite each other in the midseason madness. LA Gladiators, they turn it around. They win 4-2 on the back of Ant's incredible Widowmaker on Dorado. It just felt like such an incredible rivalry we had in that region. So I would have loved to see San Francisco Shock against the LA Gladiators just as a little treat. Now, I did go back and look at those rosters from last year's midseason madness, and I'm just taking a look at the rosters. LA Gladiators, how many players are left from that LA Gladiators roster on that team? The answer is Kevster and Funny Astro. Those are the two only players left from last year in that midseason. The rest is just refurbished. You got Lastro coming in, Dante as the tank. You don't have Reiner. You don't have Space. Patifan is gone. Ans is gone. Shu is gone. Skewed is gone from this LA Gladiators team. San Francisco Shock. Same story with them. The only two players left from Shock from last year, Finn and Proper. Two new tanks coming in Max and Junbin. They got Heesang as their damage player. Vindime coming in, of course. So I would love to just see the team matchup of Shock versus Gladiators as two familiar faces as a rivalry, but the rosters look very different. Don't care though. Would just love to see proper Kevster on Tracer, honestly. Just an incredible Tracer matchup that I just would love to see once more. I'm sorry, Titans.
Very weak performance.
Don't care. Ego. Don't. I didn't want. Don't care.
But I will say the overreactions to that match are crazy. People are like, "Are we now going to admit that Kevster's not a hyperflex?" I'm like, "Okay, everyone, calm down. Let's calm down." It was one rough match for Kevster after like years of consistency. We can calm down a little bit there.
I think Proper versus Kevster is like probably the best like player versus player duel in the entire league, in my opinion. The head-to-head. I think that might be the best head-to-head in the league. I would love it. I would love to see that again. But alas, Shock does not inspire confidence these days. So I get the Titans pick. I would just full on copy and pick Shock, but Titans seem like the better team at the moment.
Just do a 2v2 lobby between Funny Astro, Kevster versus Proper Finn. You get the closest.
That'd be fun.
The interesting part is that, like, did you see the stats that came out where, like, Finn is, like, towards the top end of player deaths in the whole league right now?
Yeah,
Finn has not been having a good year. Yeah, the Shock backline's not been having a great year so far. Finn and Vindime both they've been getting kind of, like, perma-farmed currently. So I think that's the other reason why I favor Titans regardless, is that I think Titans currently, they just get so much more value from their backline than the Shock backline does. Like, and just keeping your backline simply alive allows you to just win more fights. Like, just by pure, just like, you know, it just happens because you happen to win more fights. So, like, you just have healing. So it's just like, regardless of any of the other player quality. But yeah, that leads to fight New York. I'm about to take a swing for the fences.
Oh boy,
you're going New York, aren't you?
Ooh.
I think I'm going New York.
Wow.
I don't hate it.
Dude,
yeah,
what has Toronto done? What has Toronto done to inspire confidence?
They just beat
They
Vegas.
lost to London. Yeah, I think me and Abra are on the same page.
Okay,
3-0 Vegas, all right? You guys are just
Yeah, they did 3-0 Vegas. I was actually really worried that was gonna be a toilet bowl. Luckily, it was not. Luckily, Vegas are so unbelievably ass still that it was not a toilet bowl. But like New York actually have moments still. Like the Fitz usage from DPS to swap into support when they need them, like it's good. Kellen, I think the match versus Titans, Kellen actually kind of hard through. I think if they had like some slightly, it's like if fights where Kellen had slightly more even head on him and like made sure not throw away some ults, not throw away some positioning, that could have been a closer match even between New York and Titans. Like I think New York are legitimately looking pretty decent still. They've been. I think
this meta is good for them too.
Huh?
This meta is good for them too.
Yeah, the meta's good for them. Yeah. The meta's not bad for them either. Like Psycho has been really impressing as Tracer, the Tracer player for them. Like Lep's been a very solid. I mean, overall across the board, I like the look for them. They just look pretty decent. That like to me, I'm like, and they just had a match where they could theoretically go to gone to a map 5 versus Titans. So like that's more impressive than I've seen from anything from Defiant recently. So.
Yep. All right.
I think that's very fair.
Yeah.
Yep. Gladiators, Titans, guys.
I still think Glads wins that.
I think you have to. It'd be a lot of hopium for Titans if you pick them, right? So Gladiators are still favored. I agree with Joe.
Put it this way, it'll be a good fucking game. Like it will be a close game, no toilet bowl shenanigans. But I think Glads, they still inch you out on a player-to-player basis, and like Kev's is still so good. Like,
yeah, if Glads just show up how they play, they should win the match. They should win that match, but it's not going to be a shocker to me if Titans win because I think Titans are looking pretty solid right now. So would not be a shocker to me.
Yeah, Glads for me as well. This is one of those moments where you like where the scrimbucks come in for the Glads, but assuming they're not boomed, I think this is you'd believe that Kev makes a comeback. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Washington, New York rematch after Washington got 3-0'd in this past week. New York Excelsior, do we think they'll take it again, or does Washington come back with a vengeance?
I like Washington though, man. I like Washington. I think
they look pretty good. They look good. New York still hasn't shown to me that like I can realistically pred for them often. Like Justice have been having some. They've been having some pretty decent like wins here. You know, they've been having like New York still hasn't they just can't close out anything. They still have not anything that's not Vegas. They haven't closed out a match yet.
Well, they beat Washington 3-0.
Yeah, but that was like a while back, wasn't it? Or was that earlier? Oh wait, no, you're right. That was last week, wasn't it? Yeah, but Justice. Oh my god, I wiped that match from my memory because I didn't watch it. I didn't. See
it was not something to remember. It was not something to remember.
Yeah.
I think you can totally get by with the argument that was like a one-off series, bad series from Washington. If you are one of those Andys who just like they beat them, that means they're better than them. Like, no, sorry, this is one of those series where you kind of have to forego that I beat them, so I'm better than them kind of thing.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, no, dude. But they had the
Washington is the better team on paper. Fitzbrig, come on, like Alpha Yi versus Psycho. Come on, Washington on paper should be the better team here.
I'll give Justice the edge here. I'll give it to Justice. Yeah, right. I'll give it to Justice.
Let it be known, I said New York. New York.
Have fun, buddy. Put it on broadcast.
You know what? I will,
broadcast. All right.
I will.
Glads versus Justice. Do we really think Gladiators are just gonna like get by?
Yes.
There won't be like a faceplant moment from the Gladiators.
Depends. Like, do we think the Glads 0-3 versus Washington's a one-time thing, or is that actually just Washington's a much better team?
I mean, they looked way better than them in the match they played. A lot better than them in the match they played. But the thing is, that match could have gone. It would have at least been way closer if Kevster was shown up. If Kevster had shown up, there's like theoretically. Kevster could have definitely gotten them at least a map, but like Kevster was that was like the most silent Kevster had ever been in a series since I've watched him in the Overwatch League, it seems.
If Justice beat Glads again, this is where the Alpha Yi stocks go through the roof.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't even just like an Alpha. I mean, like Alpha Yi played really well, but like it was actually like overall Justice just macroed them out of control. Like they had like their ult economy was so much better. They completely negated the value from them like often, like multiple times. Like I don't know. Like this is beyond like an individual. Like to me, I do think Kevster got zoned, but I don't think it was Alpha necessarily always winning those duels. It was Kevster just getting not able to find value because they were just locking him out of the fights a lot of times. Like they were actually doing a good job of like countering him across the board. So, but I will agree that the LVE stocks, honestly, I shouldn't have backed down. I should have kept LVE in the S. When we did the Tracer tier rankings, LVE should have still been in the S. But like, overall, like, I'm still gonna give it to Glads. I'm still gonna give it to Glads. I still have faith in that team. I still have faith in that team.
Damn it, I do too. It's so much hope, but I do too.
It's hard to vote against them, bro. Even
still have faith in that team,
Justice
man.
have been so rocky and up and down. Like, I just don't see Gladiators not pulling it out in a bracket style system.
Like, if we can give Justice the benefit of the doubt, if we can give Justice benefit of the doubt for losing to New York, we can give Glads benefit of the doubt for losing to Justice, right?
Yes.
Like, I feel like it works both ways.
Yeah.
That leaves us with Boston Uprising against the LA Gladiators. I think I got Boston, guys.
Yeah. I want to vote Boston so bad.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to lock Boston.
So bad.
I'll give Boston.
Yeah.
Wow. That's where the difference in faith comes in. Who would have thought, huh? Who would have thought? Boston Uprising qualify for mid-season madness. Who would have thought?
Let's get it, baby.
I mean, everyone in preseason looking at pure player quality. Was like pure player quality. This team should be here. Should be fighting in this area. Now,
why didn't we look at player quality?
Because we didn't believe. Well, I didn't believe, at least, of like the synergy of the team, and it still has had its moments here and there where there's looked good. Because like I still think Boston, like the reality wise, like Boston's player quality alone, they should be competing against Atlanta and Houston. Yet we haven't really even put them in the same category ever for those teams yet. Like right now, if you were to put me in like a Boston versus Houston or Atlanta, I'd take those two teams in a heartbeat over Boston still. But I think Boston is like a great team that still hasn't really looked monstrous at any point with the players they have. They still haven't looked like truly dominant. Yeah.
There you go.
I'm happy with that.
Full power has not been unleashed.
Say cheese. Oh shit, we're doing a Plat Chat guarantee.
Not everything can be a guarantee, surely. Like,
what do you mean? Why not? Why not?
We're guaranteeing.
We're guaranteeing. It's guaranteed.
That's a guarantee right there.
Yep.
That's good. No, that's a good bracket.
You got to say it with your whole chest. Otherwise, what's the point of doing it?
Guaranteed. Whoa. Yeah. Wow. It's guaranteed. Plat Chat guarantee. Here we go. We did it, guys. We did it. We got through the episode. We got a couple quick segments here just before you sign off. But a tier list, a knockout bracket. I mean, this is a golden Plat Chat episode right here. What more can we ask for? We have 3 community questions from our Plat Chat members. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, supporting the content. We appreciate all our members out there. We got 3 questions for you. We can just quickly kind of run through them. But first one comes in from Andrew Curry. Who's the biggest disappointment? San Francisco Shock, Toronto Defiant, Dallas Fuel, Toronto Spitfire, or other? Personally, gonna go with Toronto Defiant on this one. They lost to Toronto Spitfire this past week. They are Team USA. They were supposed to be like contending with some of the top teams, and they just suck. They just suck. They're bad.
I mean, Toronto Defiant on like just like a pure like their players are not this bad either. Mm-hmm. Their players are legitimately just not this bad, and they're performing like a team that's in the bottom 4 of their region. Like they're 2-5, right? Something like that. Like
no, they'd be 3-5. No.
3-5 after the win versus Vegas.
Yeah, they're 3-5
after the win versus Vegas. So after their minus their free win, they're essentially like their record is abysmal. Their schedule wasn't even that particularly hard. Like they had some hard teams for sure, but they had like London, who's looked really like they struggled in particular. Like I don't know. Like to me, it's a pretty big disappointment. Yeah, it's a pretty big disappointment because like their team is better geared for the meta. They have incredibly good players. Like they have Kalush, they have UV, they have Hydron. Like even Speedily, one of the most hyped players coming in. Like even Sam's shown that like he still had Sam still has like moments of, and then OG obviously who's didn't have an amazing season with Atlanta, but didn't look this bad after having years of success of contenders. So like it just doesn't make any sense how rough this team has been.
Yeah,
I would say the most disappointing based on expectations is probably Shock because everyone thought they'd be much better. But biggest expectation based on, I'd say, like more of a narrative side is Fuel because they're literally the defending champions. And anytime a defending champion team looks really shocking the next year, it's like, man, what happened? It's kind of crazy, right? So there's that. I don't know that London really belongs on this list as much as the other teams. Like, I feel like no one really hyped up London too much coming into this year. And, we all felt like they were a good underdog team last year, but no one's got huge expectations. On a weird note, we all expected this team I'm about to talk about to do badly, but dude, Vegas are disappointing because they're doing even worse than what I thought. Because I knew they were okay. They're probably gonna be last place, but it's embarrassingly last, man. Like,
the tweet I tweeted out? They've started worse than the 2018 Shanghai Dragons, and they've started worse than the LA Valiant in 2020. They won 1 map in 8 matches.
The disappointment is that like they're just it's like they shouldn't be in this league. That's the kind of disappointment. Like it's a bad look for everybody. It's so disappointing. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though you had low expectations, they went even
terrible.
below that, which is fucked up.
It's terrible. It's terrible. All right, moving on to the next question. Would you rather fight 1 lip-sized ant or 50 ant-sized lips? That question is coming from Matthew Cole.
In real life too.
I mean, I would definitely fight the 50 ant-sized lips.
Yeah, I would say
a lip-sized ant. An ant can already it can already move, like it carries like 100 times its body weight. Now imagine it like the size of a lip. It could bench a fucking building. Like there's no way.
Do you want me to get science on you? Actually, if the correct answer is the 50 ant-sized lips, because an actual lip-sized ant, if you were to just like magic, I don't know, enlarge ray that thing, just go into Photoshop and right-click the border of the rectangle and zoom it up, its legs would buckle. Like the thing about size in real life is like the volume increase is you need a lot to support the body weight. So when you look at actual
but this is the point here. The point here is about it's not about the pure height. It's literally about like if it could exist. If it could exist,
right?
You would much rather fight
if it kept,
the 50
Lip is a
ant-sized
tall
lips.
ass motherfucker.
It's kind of underrated. He's tall, but he's not that tall. He's not.
Okay, Johnny's
that tall.
8 feet.
No.
That's not the point. Even if it was only a 6 foot tall human being, a 6 foot tall ant is still like it's got gigantic mandibles. Like it's huge. It's really strong in comparison to its body. Like it would also, they don't really feel like pain the same way that like, because they don't really, I don't think like they're just like they're just a giant like brain, like spinal cord. They don't really have like any like pain receptors or anything, so like you can be hacking at it and shit and it won't feel anything. Like it'll just like, you know, like this shit is like, that's like an unstoppable killing machine. Like you definitely would fight the 50 ant-sized lips 100%,
like,
because you could just smash them with your foot.
You could smash him. Yeah, I mean, you look like Buzzwole from Pokemon, if anybody knows what that is. Buzzwole, it's like a giant fucking bug, just like uber jacked, like unbelievably ripped. Like I don't want to fucking fight that shit. Hell no. Hell no! Give me the 50 ants.
50 ants is not a lot. Like when you think about it, when you look at an ant swarm, you see like hundreds, if not like 1,000 at a time.
Yeah, you see like 500 ants. Now we're talking.
But you look at 50 as like, that's just a single file line of ants carrying leaves is 50. You know, it's not a lot.
Next question comes in from Chris Uzi. I don't know if everyone gets the references, but I'll explain. Who will be the Miami Heat of the knockouts? Who will be the Milwaukee Bucks? So, if you weren't informed about the NBA, Miami Heat, this NBA playoffs, became the 2nd team in NBA history to be an 8th seed and qualify for the NBA Finals. So, they beat the number 1 seed, they beat the number 2 seed, just like they were the worst seeded team in the bracket, and they just like dominated their way through the knockouts and eventually qualified. Kind of known as like this legendary team, and I have an answer for this. And the Milwaukee Bucks, I believe they were the number 2 seed. A lot of people had them as the favorites, winning the entire thing, and they just lost to Miami Heat and the worst seeded team straight away. They just like they were the 2nd seeded team going into the playoffs, the NBA playoffs, and then they just fell flat on their face and just lost in the first round. So for Miami Heat, it'd have to be the Shock. I'm just gonna say it, guys. Just gonna say it.
Nah, fuck off.
Yeah,
bro.
The comparisons, Coach Spo to Miami Heat. Spo, one of the best NBA coaches of all time. You got Coach Krusty in the lower bracket with the worst seed. Shock were the 10th place team in the West region. They were the worst. Shock were the worst team to qualify for the knockouts out of the teams they did. All right. It's Vegas, Valiant, London, and then it's Shock at number 10, baby. But they got Krusty. If there was a Miami Heat run, it would be from the Shock in this bracket.
Surely it's Glads. Like, that team has, like, mad potential. They're pretty legendary, but they just not hit their stride.
Yeah, but Glads still had,
you'd have to pick a lower bracket team.
They've still, but Glads have still had a pretty good, like, stage, you know, half of the season up until this, you know?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like, if anything, it would be closer to, like, like, a Justice or it'd be Justice or a New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'd be New York, Toronto. It'd have to be one of the 4 seeded. So Vancouver, Shock, Toronto, New York. It had to be one of those teams making a ridiculous lower bracket run to qualify.
Okay, in that case, I would, if it was my pick, I'd pick Vancouver. I'd pick a Vancouver. Yeah,
that's fair.
Vancouver Titans, also known as the Miami Heat. All right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then I guess for a high-seeded team, they would just face plant in the very first round and
Mayhem?
No, I
Boston,
think it's
Mayhem.
No, I think it would be like
Glads.
Is Glads high seeded? They're higher seeded than the West.
Yeah, they're in the winner bracket.
I mean, it would be Glads. It would be
they're
Glads.
Fourth.
Glads.
I would pick Glads.
Okay.
So Kevster is Giannis, and they just get rolled 2 matches in a row against like Vancouver and Florida. Glads.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Awesome.
Right.
Very possible.
Kevster, you are a Milwaukee Buck. YSP, who wins, a Wolf or a Vast?
Okay,
a wolf.
this is there's a whole conversation about this. It happened on the co-stream.
Yeah, it's
but like,
fucking stupid.
Think
Dude
about
thinks
it.
he can beat a shark 1v1 in water.
If it's you versus a singular wolf and you're fighting for your life, the point is, do you think you could beat the wolf, but even if it cost you were grievously injured? And I think I could. If it was me versus a single wolf.
Just hand to hand?
Hand to hand, single wolf. And I'm fighting for my life here, right? So like I could theoretically still die right after the fight. I could be so grievously injured that I bleed out right after. But
how would you kill it?
So the
wolf kill it?
Bites your arm, and then what do? Your other arm.
So it's coming for me. I'm trying to dodge, right? I'm dodging. It's lunging. I'm trying to strike for the eyes. I'm striking for the eyes, and then it's gonna come in. If it gets in too close, then I'm sacrificing an arm. Okay, now it's got my arm in its mouth. It's like, it's trying to rip my arm off and shit. But I'm in there, right? And now I'm inside its stomach. I'm ripping, I'm tearing, I'm ripping, I'm tearing.
No, that's not a thing. That's not a thing.
There.
No, that's not a thing.
And then while it's got me in there, then I'm ripping, I'm tearing the eyes. I'm ripping, I'm tearing the eyes. See, I'm blinding it. And then it's getting weaker. It's getting weaker. And then it's either gonna have to rip off my arm, like you destroy it, as I've torn out its eyes, or it's going to have to relinquish the arm to protect its eyes.
Why would it go for your arm and not the throat?
Because it's gonna come for me. It's gonna come for me, but I'm gonna see. I'm gonna do it like this.
Connor's gonna be good. He's gonna slip it.
You know?
Yeah.
He's gonna
walk like that.
I'm gonna be keeping my arm up, ready to watch. I'll be on a threat stance.
I think it's more likely the way it turns out. It's just like I think that's way more likely.
The adrenaline's pumping through me because I'm fighting for my life here. So I'm ripping, I'm tearing, I'm ripping, I'm tearing. You know,
Connor,
like, you don't understand.
Here's what you gotta do. If you can slip the first dive that the wolf does, you can get into a rear naked choke and then you win.
See, that's the thing. Also, yeah, if you can get around the wolf and wrap it up,
you're gonna choke out the wolf. You're gonna choke out a rabid, ferocious wolf.
I think it's a much better chance though that you give up an arm, let the arm take some beating, and you get the eyes, and then do some internal damage, and then it lets go of you. And at that point, it's kind of weak and it's blind. And
internal
then
damage.
Finishing
you
blows.
Think it's gonna bleed out?
No, it's not gonna bleed out during that time, but it will be weakened enough sufficiently from the ripping and tearing I've done. And then I'd go for the neck. And then I'd go for the neck after that. But like, so I'm just saying it's doable. People have beaten wolves. People have beaten like lions in one-on-one fights.
Yeah, but would you? That's the question. Would you? I think
I could. I think I could. In a one-on-one with a wolf, it's much less scary than a lion.
Can I ask you a personal question? Personal question. How much do you weigh?
I weigh 185.
Okay, because a typical male adult grey wolf is 70 to 145. Do you actually outweigh the wolf? You outweigh the wolf.
Yeah, by 40 pounds, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, granted, the weight that it's also they have like typically they're much more higher amounts of lean muscle mass as well, and they're more well designed for certain actions, right?
It's mostly fur, dude. If you take off the fur, that's like 30, take off 30 pounds after the. Yeah,
but the
I'm just saying, like most of the weight
I think I could
beat
a wolf. I think I could do it. I think I could beat a wolf if my life depended on it. Would I maybe die right after? Yes, that is a chance I'd have to run. Yes, it is very possible, but I think I could do it. I think all of us could theoretically do it.
I think I could beat a shark on land.
A shark? Do you think you can beat a shark?
On land.
Okay, but on land, yes.
On land.
That's not fair. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Why is it not fair? No. Whoa. Hang on. Why is it not fair? Hold up.
Why is it not fair? That's like saying if you're like I'm gonna fight. Like that's saying
I would be a wolf underwater, guys.
Hang on.
And they can't breathe. They have no oxygen. They can't. They literally can't live.
Yeah, but it can flop around for 5 minutes, and in that 5 minutes we can have a good 1v1.
But it's not. It has no ability to fight back. It's too busy. Like it's just
it can lunge at you. Dude, I've seen Sharknado. Okay, they can do shit on land.
Okay.
No shit. I'm just saying the wolf is the most accurate. Like people can do it. It's been done. People have fought worse animals, and the average healthy male could potentially, very likely, beat a wolf in a fight for their survival. They could do it.
It's usually been done with weapons, though, I think.
Sure, but they've been done with hands, too. It's been done with hands as well.
This is going to last another hour. Please, Johnny.
All right. Please. I will say this. I do think you beat a wolf underwater, though. That underwater combat with a wolf, I think you'd have them beat. Yeah. So
maybe, I guess. I don't know how good a swimmer. I mean, potentially.
You just drag the wolf underwater.
I think even the playing field a bit. Maybe.
Who can hold their breath longer, though, a wolf or a human?
I think it slowed down the combat. The resistance of the water will slow down the combat, and it'd be more intellectual combat. And I think you'd win out versus the wolf.
But the problem is, you're both. The wolf can dodge. Well, I guess it's using all of its legs. While I'm only using my legs, I'm doing both legs underneath me, doing this like a. I'm just
have your
kicking.
arms free.
Yeah, you have my arms free. Right. Well, it's like full doggy paddle the whole time. It's got no limbs. So yeah, that's possible.
Can't multitask between swimming and fighting.
I got my money on Connor in the water for sure. I have that for sure.
I think so. Actually, that's fair.
All right. There we go. Plat Chat Overwatch episode 180. It's been a fantastic episode, guys. Thank you so much. I know we went over a bit, but I appreciate you all being here. I had lots of fun, and I hope you did as well. So here we go. Oh no, Bren's play of the week. Bren's play of the week. Bren's play of the week.
Here we go.
Bren's play of the week.
Bren's play of the week. I got a nomination. Bren's play of the week should go to the wolf that Avast can beat 1v1.
Yeah, it should. Which is every wolf. Actually, it's not true. I don't think I could beat every wolf. I think there are some wolves that could beat me in a 1v1 for sure.
Probably.
I think there are a couple that are really, like some really scary wolves that have survived lots of fights type of thing.
Yeah. Bren's play of the week to all wolves.
I think the average wolf.
The species. The wolf.
I think the average wolf I could beat.
The wolf species, yeah. The wolf species gets Bren's play of the week.
But only one. But the strength of wolves is not the power of a single wolf. Is that they hunt in packs. They're packs. They have a pack of wolf. That's their strength. So remove that strength. I think I'm more adaptable in the situation.
All right. Yes. If someone's making a spreadsheet, the species of the grey wolf, there you go, wins Bren's play of the week for Plat Chat episode 180. There you go. Fantastic episode, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you, and shout out to Solomon, our producer, for doing such lovely work here. Every episode here of the Plat Chat. Shout out to Solomon. Go follow them on Twitter and stuff like that. I'll see you guys next week for Plat Chat episode 181, and we'll know all the teams who are qualified for the mid-season madness. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. I'll see you next week. Later.